Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Town of Cedar Lake Utility Board public meeting for March 2024. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Thank you all. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Here.
Julie Rivera. Here. Chuck Becker.
Here.
Craig Parker.
Here.
Mary John Dixon. Here. Richard Teal.
Here.
Nick Recupito.
Here.
Jennifer Sandberg is absent. I'm Sarah Ely. I'm here in her place. Jeff Bungie.
Present.
David Austin.
Thank you. New business number 1, approval of minutes from November 21st, 2023 and February 20th, 2024. Everybody's had a chance to read them. Do we have a motion to accept and waive the reading of the minutes?
So moved.
Do we have a second? We have a motion. Okay, we have a motion made by Mr. Parker, seconded by Mr. Becker. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Julie Rivera. Yes. Chuck Becker.
Yes.
Craig Parker.
Yes.
Mary John Dixon.
Yes.
Richard Teal.
Yes.
Nick Recupito.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Number 2, needs pay request number 4. Final pay request for the East Side Water Transmission Main Project payable to H&G Underground Utilities, LLC in the amount of $126,943.28. Neil, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Hi.
This is the final pay request for H&G for the East Side Transmission Main. The punch list items remain, and they are committed to completing those, and we have the performance bond in place throughout the entirety of the 1-year guarantee period. Any questions?
I have one on this. It's a good, it lists everything, so I'm impressed with that. The fire hydrant assembly includes a T 6-inch dip from T to hydrant and gate valves, and that's $100,506.96. That just seems like a huge amount for that.
That's for the entirety of the 11 items.
Oh, okay. On the fire hydrants?
Correct.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah, I see that.
11 needed a fixed price curve, and then that was the last one. That's the last one.
All right. Thank you for that clarification.
Thank
I
you.
got a question, Neil.
Yes.
No, this is the one that, right now, there's no water in it, right?
Yeah, this is a water main that's proposed for the future once Lakeside and Lakeside 2 and Lakeside South extend down to 141st and the improvements are made at the Paradise Cove facility. Then that will be energized and connect to the Robins Nest system from that area to the WPM facility, and then ultimately further north and south being proposed.
All right, so right now, let's say when we get the lighthouse well going online, it energizes the line. If it leaks 5 months from now, or if it's 8 months from now, if we get, what, is it still gonna be warranted then?
Yeah, it'll be guaranteed through the entirety of the 1-year period. We did the pressure test on that at 150 PSI, and it held with 0 leakage.
But now it's empty.
No, it's fully it's full and pressurized.
The water line going from the lighthouse well through the pipes?
Yes, yeah, that was pressurized and tested, and it's still full right now.
Right.
It just can't be used until those two items are connected. Yeah, absolutely correct.
What about the water tower? Is that operating?
It is operable. It's not currently operated because there are improvements being made to the Robins Nest system, not only on pumping but controls. But the tower has been tested, approved, and it is able to be operated once those controls are completed.
Do you have any idea when that might be?
That's not a project that I'm working on, but I've been coordinating with the Director of Operations on that, and those projects are proceeding.
Okay.
Can I ask, you said 1 year guaranteed, from what date?
I believe the guarantee date was October of 2023, so it'll go through October of 2024, and I have confirmed with the bond company that performance bond is in place and in effect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks, Neil. Any other questions for Neil? If not, do we have a motion to accept this pay request?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Becker, seconded by Mr. Teal to approve this pay request. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera? Yes. Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Mary John Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Item 3, future water capacity needs planning discussion. So as the public is well aware, we are evaluating both sides, our west side and east side water utility. We've come to find out that there's many challenges here. We have Neil that has been tasked with a west side report, which he did share with us, but can you give us a synopsis of kind of where we're at and really what our needs are, Neil, on that west side?
Yeah, Mr. President, the west side, generally, your limitations are during drought periods and during periods where you have between 80 and 100 homes being built during June, July, and August, with all brand-new sodded lawns, and all of them irrigating, not quite, but close to 24 hours a day to establish that, those lawns. But during normal water usage, those peaking factors are between 2.1 and 2.3 times. So your normal usage during this period of time and in the fall, they're highly manageable by your system, using about 25% of the capacity you have on the west side between the 4 wells at Havenwood and at Parrish Avenue near the elevated tank. So the limitations are strictly related to irrigation and new homes being built during the periods of 2022 and 2023.
Okay. So what is our, because we're solution oriented, we want to get stuff done and get this fixed. What will improve the west side situation?
The highest and best use of your dollars would be for additional production capacity.
So which is storage?
No, that is wells.
Oh, wells, okay.
And hydromatic tank and obviously a disinfection system.
Okay.
The storage does play a part into the capacity, but it's limited because an elevated tank generally works for providing fire protection and providing for system pressure. And within a 1 million gallon storage tank, let's call it, as an example, the elevation change between high water and normal water, low water level, it could be up to 25 feet of elevation or about 10 to 12 psi, up to 15 psi. So the way IDEM rates your system is strictly based on production capacity. So that's where the highest and best use of your dollars are.
Okay.
So what you're doing with the fracture trace analysis performed by Peerless Midwest in the past, and what Wortman is doing, from what I understand, going forward, that is highly recommended, and you're moving in the right direction on it.
Okay. Thank you, Neil.
I've had somebody tell me that we need 2 500,000 gallon water towers in 2 different locations on the west side.
Is that a statement or a question?
That's a question, that's what I heard. Is that true?
Yeah, my recommendation, and we reiterated this in the 2020 PER, Preliminary Engineering Report, sent to the Indiana Finance Authority and the SRF, was for a ground storage tank with high service pumps, because you can modulate the elevation within that tank and ultimately the volume to determine what the best way to turn the water over is, because having additional capacity of storage versus having additional capacity of production, you're well advised to have production capacity in excess rather than storage capacity, because if during the normal flows or the low flow periods that we're experiencing now and in the fall, if you can't turn that water over, you do have issues with chlorine residuals that you can't meet. So having 2 additional storage tanks on the west side, I would not advise that.
Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify, so we have 4 wells, we're operating at 25%, so we're using, like, right now in March, 1 well?
1 well right now.
And is that like 9 months out of the year, 8 months, like,
It's probably between 6 and 7 months out of the year. No one can predict what'll happen this next year with a lower number of occupancies and brand-new green sodded yards that look beautiful last year and in 2022 as well. But the expectation would be that demand and the peak hour on your system would be lower as those yards are established.
so when there was 18 to 100 homes with sod, and there was a drought, that was in 2022 or summer of 2023?
Yeah, both in 2022 and 2023, the drought data showed that every one of your peak days occurred within the drought period, and that also coincided with when the occupancies were issued on that west side for those new homes with their yards.
So I had a discussion with our director of operations about this when we started to find out we were having some issues, especially during these drought times of irrigation. And I think it would be wise, obviously we're under a moratorium right now for any future approvals of any of these larger subdivisions, but anything that's looming out there, that we ought to plan appropriately and have these permits issued in a more controlled fashion, so we don't get overwhelmed like we have in the past. I mean, it overwhelms on more than one level, not just water, but you know, just the way of life around here. It's been going so fast, but it was mentioned that we could control this a little bit better if we control permitting and occupancy a little bit better to throttle it down.
Yeah, if that's a conversation you had with Tim, as you would say, I would second that motion.
Yeah, okay. Going on to the east side, obviously there's probably a lot more moving parts there. Neil, you had mentioned obviously this pay request here regarding the east side transmission line and the eventual connection between it and north into Lakeside. And Ms. Abernathy, you had mentioned that maybe that developer is supposed to have that line put in this year to make that connection.
That was the discussion we had with them in the last meeting we had.
Yeah.
I can say that they are coming forward with a preliminary plat in April for the Plan Commission for the south side.
Okay.
Which that's included in part of their plan.
Okay.
That has been circulated to all engineers, public works, town staff for comment and review.
Okay.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Can I, Chief?
Oh, ask away, Joe.
Todd, how are we when we're fighting fires, if the fire hydrants on the west side or the east side, don't we have low pressure now?
It depends on how many hydrants we're using, for one. And, yeah, we can pull the system down pretty quickly, depending on how big a fire. We haven't had a fire to test it in a while. But, like when we had the body shop, we had to set up a whole other water supply down at town, down at the chamber building, because we couldn't keep up, they couldn't keep up with us. So a major fire, we have a pressure problem.
I remember Robin's test.
And I agree with Neil, the elevated storage would probably if we can get a ground level storage over an elevated storage, that would make more sense, because you can control that better, like you said. Typically, what we'll have to do is get a hold of Public Works, and they have to kick in the other pumps to help supply the fire for the system.
I remember years ago in Robin's Nest, we had a fire there, and it was no water coming out of the hydrants.
Yeah, Robin's Nest was not even really rated at the time to fight fires years ago.
But it is now.
Yeah, it was it was basically just a flush system for future, development and future growth of the system, but it's rated now, yeah. Especially when we get that water tower online, it'll be a lot better.
Okay, any other future water capacity needs, planning discussion? We'll move on to written report. We have our fund report from the clerk treasurer that was in our packet. Did you have anything to add from her, Sarah?
No, any questions for Jen? She said she'll be back in the office on Friday.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Number 5, consultants and staff reports. A, engineer Neese. Mr. Neal.
The sanitary upgrades, we have the West Side Sanitary Interceptor Project 1, as we discussed at the February meeting. That project is substantially complete. We obviously have punch list items, and again, a performance bond in place, and we're working with LGS, the contractor on that project, to complete those items. Additionally, you have 2 maps and cost estimates for the Project 2 and Project 3 of continuation of the West Side Interceptor and the costs associated with those and the routing that's been proposed and reviewed by staff recently. If you have any questions on those, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
All right, these figures are, for the West Side Sanitary Sewer, Project 2, total project cost, that's $3,491,532.46. And then, looking at, Project 3 for the West Side, another $3,338,360. And then, Project 3 Route 3B, so that's an additional $1,009,880. So that's all those there, the total amount of money that we've got to come up with to finish those projects?
Yeah, that'll get you to 151st and Parish Avenue, correct.
So in the past, we had some discussion here at the council regarding the need for this West Side Sanitary Sewer Interceptor, and it had been mentioned before that this would, correct me if I'm wrong, this would alleviate pressure on the Lowerman Interceptor?
It would. Ultimately, that extension would go up along the west side of Lindsway and intercept the Rose Garden Estates, the lift station 11, which services generally the area of Lindsway subdivision, and then the proposed line development, which is at the southwest corner of 141st and Parish.
Okay.
And also provide additional capacity for future expansions within that general area, south of 141st, and not only up to, but east of, west of US 41 as well.
Okay. Because I believe we had a sewer surcharge along Lowerman Street, I think recently.
3 times.
3 times? It's happened a lot in the past, right?
It has.
Yeah, there was a very large storm a few weeks ago that was 2.5 inches over about 8 hours, and that's somewhat rare. You've had surcharges and sanitary sewer overflows on that line, but during those type of storms, you do sometimes have those. And a lot of those are related to cross connections rather than necessarily the actual sewer flow from a resident flushing their toilet or, running their shower or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't think anyone more was showering or using the bathroom during that storm, but...
It's inflow and infiltration are the 2 factors for that.
Okay. Thank you, Neil.
Now, I've been told that we don't have money to cover the rest of the West Side, system.
That's true.
That's true? So that's about $8 or $9 million.
And as far as phase 2, I believe the easements have been required. You're just looking for direction from the council as far as moving forward with...
As you see fit. Yeah, we worked with Dave and his staff, and they've acquired all the easements that are necessary to build the project, and we have those in place.
Okay. If there's no more sanitary update, do you have anything more on a water update, Neil, or you touch on that?
No, that was discussed earlier.
Okay. Thank you very much, Neil.
Thank you.
Director of Operations, Superintendent, Mr. Kubiak's out right now. Do you have anything from him, Ashley, or no?
Nothing was passed on to me now.
All right, thank you. Jim?
The only thing I've got, I talked to Mr. Kuiper this afternoon, Mr. President, and he sent me some information on, where did it get to? Robin's Nest pumps were air blasted over the weekend or in the last subsequent last couple of weekends. The hope was draw capacity could be enhanced, and his numbers were, now there's two pumps in the pump house over there, two wells over there. They're listed as wells 3 and 4. Don't know how it got that way, but both were topping out at a roughly 200 GPM before cleansing. Post-cleansing, well 4 is estimated to easily be producing over 500 gallons per minute with minimal drawdown and excellent recovery. Post-cleaning, well 3 is estimated at coming in over 300 gallons per minute with the same minimal drawdown and recovery. So it looks like that's some pretty promising news for water capacity, at least at that facility of ours.
Yeah, seems like that was money well spent for that contract. Absolutely.
First two wells were abandoned.
Pardon?
First two wells were abandoned over there.
First two wells were abandoned
Yeah, there's only two
after
working.
All right, thank you all. We'll move on to JMOB report. Do we have any update from our members here, Ms. Dixon and Mr. Teal?
The only update I have is many times as I've tried to reach out, I still have not received a response. And Jeff, you have not received a response as well?
Only from the one initial outreach by email, right at a month ago. And I did try to call once, but I didn't leave a message, and was getting ready for today. I was going to call down there and I got away from it. But I will continue to try to make contact.
And Rich, you've made several attempts to have another JMOB meeting, and they're not responding to you.
That is correct, and I did send another email out to the main engineer at Westler, asking for that engineering report for the task order 15. I got a response back right away after probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks of no response. The response was, "I'll get it to you soon," which is still, to me, a no response. And then I asked about some other stuff in regards to the 2023 expense report to the clerk treasurer at Lowell. I have not received a response, so I spoke with Sue Hayes today briefly on that as far as what our possible next steps are moving forward. But that's all we have right now.
Yeah, and just so the public knows, we will be hosting that next meeting here in the chambers, but until we get some communication back from Lowell, we won't have a date for you. But we're trying like hell. Okay, we'll move on to public comment for the utility board. Any public comment for the utility board? Last call for public comment for the utility board. Sarah, do you have anybody that's online, has their hand raised? No?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. The next meeting will be Tuesday, April 16th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. Please stick around for the town council meeting at 7 o'clock tonight. This meeting is adjourned at 6:54 p.m. Thank you. Gentlemen, welcome to the Town of Cedar Lake Town Council meeting for March 2024. Will you all please rise to the pledge of allegiance followed by a prayer? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for this gathering again tonight. We're thankful for what you give to us each and every day, Lord. We ask that each one of you, or that you give each one of us the ability to speak clearly, to talk generously, and to have a great conversation tonight. Lord, we ask that you watch over each one of us that are here tonight. Keep everyone safe, and thank you for this meeting. We do all this in your precious Son's name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all. Meeting is called over at 7:04 p.m. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Here.
Julie Rivera. Here. Chuck Becker.
Here.
Mary Jo Dixon. Here. Richard Teal.
Here.
Greg Parker.
Here.
Nick Recupido.
Here.
Jennifer Sandberg is absent. I'm Sarah Ely. I'm here in her place. Jeff Bungie.
Here.
David Austin.
Present. All right, thank you. Public hearing, ordinance number 1456, public way vacation, continued public hearing, Rego. This is an item that's been deferred many times. We have
Another deferral.
they're requesting another deferral.
Apparently there's some additional documentation that has been received for just, but it's not ready for tonight. For your review.
I'm sorry?
For your review at least.
Was this something that would need a deferral until April 5th? Is that the next, or to the next town council meeting?
However you want to do it.
Next town council meeting, probably.
Okay.
Rich and I are gonna look at, aren't we? Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion to defer this item until the next town council meeting?
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion and a second by Mr. Teal?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Carnahan, seconded by Mr. Teal. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Julie Rivera.
Yes.
Chuck Becker.
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon.
Yes.
Richard Teal.
Yes.
Greg Parker.
Yes.
Nick Recupido.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. We're going to move on to public comment on agenda items. I assume there's a lot of folks here that are here for resolution number 1351, which we have allowed for it to have its own special public comment section. So excluding that item, which we will have public comment on a little bit later, is there anybody here for public comment on any other agenda items? Anyone here for any other agenda items? Okay.
Another agenda item.
We have a public comment section at the end for items unrelated to this. Ms. Parker?
It's kind of hard, will all these people can hear you guys?
Okay.
Is there any way that the volume can go up or no?
We can get these microphones at least closer, Ms. Parker. Hey, can you hear us back there or no?
It's no hard. Oh.
You probably can't hear me at least because I have my microphone off, sorry. I apologize. I apologize, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I got nothing good to say anyway, so. Sarah, do you have anybody that's chiming in public comment on agenda items other than the transfer resolution? Okay. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. 1, minutes, February 20th, 2024, and February 26th, 2024. Claims, all town funds, $239,558.02. Wastewater operating, $32,266.19. Sewage bond, $445,350. Water utility, $21,973.76. Stormwater, $1,888.82. Payroll, 3/1/24, $385,447.80. And February remittances, $323,689.12. Number 3, manual journal entries from February 1st to February 29th of 2024. 4, donations, NIPSCO safety grant, police department, $5,000. And 5, tag day requests, Cedar Lake Youth Baseball on April 20th, 2024, with a rain date of April 27th. Any discussion on the consent agenda? I want to thank you all for the donations. Do we have a motion to waive the reading of the minutes and accept the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Ms. Dixon, seconded by Mr. Becker. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Under ordinances and resolutions, we have ordinance number 1487, traffic code amendment, placement of stop signs. Mr. Parker, would you mind reading this ordinance by title only?
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1487. An ordinance amending town code 71.09 entitled Through Streets, Placement of Stop Signs, repealing all town code sections and ordinance or parts thereof in conflict herewith and all matters related thereto.
Okay, thank you, sir. Who's going to take this? Chief Fisher?
Yep.
Okay.
So this is to install 2 stop signs on Parish Avenue at 136th Place, right? 35th Place? 36th Place. Those are these that I requested several months ago, and we just have to add it into ordinance in order to put the stop signs up so that they're enforceable.
Okay. Do you know how soon we're looking at getting these up if there's approval tonight?
It probably will be a week or so. I know the street department has to do locates, before they can install the signage. And I honestly haven't talked to Tim to find out what their time frame is. They're usually pretty quick about it, so.
Okay.
And you wanted, you investigated this, and at first you didn't want to put a stop sign, but you investigated and saw that it was justified.
Yes, sir. Needed to slow the traffic down approaching the school, as well as the traffic leaving the school away. Was the most appropriate thing to do to slow traffic down.
Well, and then folks in Utopia get trapped in there too,
Yeah.
been in and out of there, so that would help with them egress and ingress, so.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a lady that might be sitting in here a couple of times, and she really requested it, so we went out there and looked at it and found that it was definitely justified. On top of the fact that we have a crosswalk there for the elementary students, so it'll help out with the crosswalk as well. So we have crossing guards there in the morning and the afternoon, it'll help them out.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Austin, is this just a single reading ordinance?
No,
No?
2 readings.
Do you need 2 readings for this one? Okay. Okay, is there any other discussion on this item? If not, is there a motion to accept the first reading of this ordinance?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Becker, seconded by Mr. Parker to accept the first reading of this ordinance. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Oh,
Not yet.
don't make us
Not yet.
yet. We got a couple more hurdles to overcome. Would somebody like to make a motion to suspend the rules to allow for a second reading?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Ms. Rivera, seconded by Mr. Becker to suspend the rules and allow for a second reading. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Mr. Parker, would you mind reading this ordinance by title one more time, please?
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1487. An ordinance amending town code 71.09 entitled Through Streets, Placement of Stop Signs, repealing all town code sections and ordinance or parts thereof in conflict herewith and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, sir. That being said, if there's no other discussion, is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
I make a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Ms. Dixon, seconded by Mr. Teal to adopt ordinance number 1487. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera.
Yes.
Chuck Becker.
Yes.
Mary Joan Dixon.
Yes.
Richard Teal.
Yes.
Greg Parker.
Yes.
Nick Recupedo.
Yes, motion carries 7-0 and ordinance is adopted.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. Number 2, resolution number 1347, which is a 2024 Summerfest resolution. This item was deferred on February 6th as well as February 20th.
Can I just discuss the changes that need to be,
Yeah, I've received those from Mary Joan
yeah.
and have not started.
So can I just give a summary?
Absolutely, Mary.
So the changes would just be the $500 per day, which is a $2,000 payment, Section 1. In Section 9, we'd pay $500 30 days before the event, $1,500 after the event. And then Section 14 would be removed because we provide our own insurance now. The town does not provide insurance.
Okay. So we're requesting a deferral on this item?
Yes.
Yes.
But those will be the changes.
Okay, would the next town council meeting be appropriate?
It can be
Mr.
done
Rushton?
then. Yeah, I'll have enough time.
Okay.
And I apologize, Dave, for not getting that to you sooner.
Do we have a motion to defer this item until the next town council meeting?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Teal, seconded by Mr. Becker to defer resolution number 1347 consideration until the next town council meeting. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Julie Rivera.
Yes.
Chuck Becker.
Yes.
Mary Joan Dixon.
Yes.
Richard Teal.
Yes.
Greg Parker.
Yes.
Nick Recupedo.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Item deferred. Let's get down the list here. Item number 3, resolution number 1349, amending, clarifying resolution number 1348, development moratorium. This item was deferred on February 24th, 2024. As the public knows, we are under a moratorium right now on development on parcels greater than 1 acre. And anything that's already been pre-platted can already move forward. However, there was some clarification needed on this. Attorney Austin, could you clarify, please?
Section 1 of the ordinance, or the resolution, was revised to provide as follows, for clarity's sake. On the page 2, first line, we added in excess of 1 acre, so that it was clear what this applied to and what it didn't apply to. And then there is a sentence in the 4th line that begins the rest of section 1. It reads as follows. The moratorium shall be construed to mean and be interpreted to require withholding of all applications for development on project parcels greater than 1 acre unless said applicant has applied for and been granted primary plat approval or more advanced project development approval for such project, including planned unit development or other zone map amendatory ordinance. It is the intention of the Town Council and Utility Board that such action is required and necessary for the due diligence and evaluation process deemed in the best interest of the entire town, including the developer property owners. That was inserted to provide additional clarity from the original resolution that had been adopted, which was 1337. I'm sorry, 1348.
Okay. Does the council understand the clarity now? Comfortable with it? At least the reading of it? Do we need a reading of this by title, Mr. Ross?
You do.
Okay.
And that's all you need, one reading.
Okay.
Actually,
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Mr. Parker?
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, Town Council Utility Board, Resolution Number 1349. An amendatory resolution of the Town Council and Utility Board of the Town Council of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, amending the Town Resolution Number 1348, declaring a moratorium on certain land development in the town and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Any other discussion on this item? Do we have a motion to approve resolution number 1349?
So moved.
Anyone like to second?
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Parker, seconded by Mr. Becker to approve resolution number 1349. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupido?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Number 4, resolution number 1350, Farmers Market Coordinator Agreement. Anybody have an update on this item?
This has the same explanation as the Summerfest item. There were some comments and additional bullet points that need to be inserted. They will be done in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Has anyone relayed this to Kelly?
There was a change in the name. She's representing, it's Regional Social LLC, so we just have to make sure it's named appropriately in the agreement.
I just want to make sure if there's any other changes to it that she knows before the next meeting.
We'll make sure she gets it to us.
Okay.
Does she have any questions in the audience?
Is there any questions?
No.
Okay. Very good. Do we have a motion to defer this item until the next town council meeting?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Parker, seconded by Mr. Teal to defer resolution number 1350 consideration until our next town council meeting. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupido?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Item number 5 is resolution number 1351, a transfer resolution. An introduction here is, this is a consideration of the town council of transferring over $2.1 million from the ecosystem account to the wastewater treatment plant special account, which it originally came from. There's a lot of talk online that I've been sent about canceling this dredge project. Nobody's considered canceling the dredge project. It's not under consideration. There's funds left in the account after this transfer if it were to get approved. And so I'm going to open this up to public comment before we consider this resolution. I would just ask, it seems like everybody here is in attendance, either for or against this item. I would ask that we keep it to 3 minutes so everybody gets a chance to talk, and keep it civilized no matter on what side of the fence that you all are on. So,
Is anybody else going to make any mention? Richard Teal, were you going to say anything?
Not at the moment. I don't think, other than the fact that we never said that we were gonna stop this. And that's all the comments that I've pretty much seen, emails, letters, and stuff like that. And in no way was it ever, even said. And, I never said it personally myself even.
yeah, we have, and for clarification's sake, to dovetail into that, there's several people up here and not up here that are working actively to continue to fund this item. We do have pressing sewer matters. For those of you that were here for the utility board meeting, we have issues where there's surcharges in sewer into our roads. It shouldn't be happening, and we have a plan to fix that. We don't have the funding right now, but we have a plan to fix that. We have a request out right now for funds from a class action lawsuit, PCB Monsanto, to the tune of $2 million, along with the request to the county, our county commissioner, for another $1 million. So we're, like Mr. Teal said, nobody here is talking about canceling this project. In fact, the opposite is we're looking at bringing even more money into it while also trying to solve these dire sewer situations that we've been in.
Well, and I'd like to also, I guess, Jeff and I did meet with Mike Aylesworth and Rick Niemeyer as far as funding from the state in the future. So that meeting took place about a week and a half ago.
Yeah, okay.
I also have talked to Rick Niemeyer twice in the last 3 weeks, once this morning. He and Mike Ellsworth are committed to helping us fund this project. They're going to, and one thing about Rick Niemeyer, when Rick Niemeyer tells you something, you can count on it. He's not baiting you. He's not trying to sell you anything that doesn't exist. He's not selling you dreams. he didn't say that it was guaranteed that we were gonna get the extra money, but he said him and Mr. Ailes were committed to helping us fund this thing going forward. So, because of my past history with him, my relationship with him, I trust what he says. I believe that they're gonna work on that. I don't believe that from every politician, but I believe it from him. So.
And if you didn't hear in the sewer, or in the utility board meeting, we've got the West Side Interceptor. The first project is complete and paid, but the second project and the third project to complete it, to alleviate sewer surcharging on Larman, is going to cost almost $8 million, and we don't have that money.
Okay. Any other comment from the council? Okay, I will open this up to public comment, but like I stated, please, 3 minutes. Also, anybody, no blocking the door, fire chief's orders. So, as long if you guys see anybody coming in blocking that door, tell them to move out of the way. So yeah, public comment will be open now regarding the transfer and the transfer only, because that's all we're doing, we're considering tonight. So, go ahead and open up the floor. Come up one by one, state your name and address for the record, and we'll keep it happy.
Good evening, Claudia Carlson, 8134 Peterson Boulevard, and I'm happy to hear that there's no idea of stopping the dredging. I've lived here 60 years. For 6 years, we've been working towards this. I represent my 96-year-old mother, my brothers, my sister, and my son, all taxpayers in the town of Cedar Lake. And I think there's a lot of confusion when it comes to the dollars and the funds. Everybody needs a little bit of budget 101, not y'all, but everybody else, and know what the taxpayer dollars are used for, what wastewater dollars are used for, and why, and the other, any other funds. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of misinformation, and that's why you've got a crowd.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what we're doing.
There's a lot of misinformation, and that's what's sad, because people get riled up. But, bless you, let's keep going forward. We don't need to go backwards. Nobody needs to go backwards. There's no town official in the history of our, 55 years, David, that would ever come to be on this board or try to do something that weren't trying to do the right thing. So all of the vilification of everybody else in previous years is also wrong. So I hope, like you say, let's keep things civil, stop anonymous and fake participants, and I think we'll all do a lot better. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
let the record reflect, and she's earned this, that Claudia is former town clerk treasurer here in this town. She served the town honorably and well. Her father before her likewise served on that town council, sat up there. Pass that along for the right edification.
Very good.
Thanks, David. You're here too.
All right. Anyone else want to come up for public comment? You guys can feel free to line up behind and wait in line. It's perfectly fine.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Conlon, 12516 Havenwood Pass. I've lived in Cedar Lake for over 20 years now. I sent all of you a letter with my concerns about the dredge. Hopefully you read through that. I guess I've got 25 years of project management working for commercial construction. And as a contractor, I would be concerned, as hopefully you are, that a $9 million project for Dredge America, when they find out that there's $2 million short, they're going to get cold feet, okay? There's potential litigation involved with this, and I hope you've all concerned that and taken that into consideration. I guess that's my biggest fear, is that these folks will walk away. Greg, I applaud your efforts. Everybody, I applaud your efforts to try to find more funding. And I get it that people want to commit to more funding, but when there's a $2 million shortfall on a $9 million project, we have to act quickly to get that $2 million back. That's all I'm saying.
The only people that have contributed to this project is us.
Understood.
So,
And that's another pet peeve of mine, the fact that it's the state loves to regulate this lake to the ends of the earth, but there's nobody in Indianapolis giving us a dime, which is a problem.
and I told you, I had a conversation with Rick Niemeyer this morning. When Rick says something to me, he's probably the most honest guy I've ever met in politics.
That's fine, that's
I
fine.
believe, when he tells me something, I believe it.
And that's great. I'm glad you're shaking the trees and you're trying to get more money, that's excellent. I don't know that everybody has always done that over the years to make this project go forward, so, at the state level, okay? So, anyway, that's all I had to say, thank you.
And I would say there are, yes, the town has contributed, but so we got a LARE grant and CLIA, of course, so we're not in this alone.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Prensky, 14617 Blaine Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana. I have a question for the town attorney. I'd like to know if we could put this to a referendum. And the reason I ask that is, what was it in the 90s when you increased our sewer bills? You were taking some extra money to put that aside for future infrastructure use. Nobody asked us if they could take that money and use it for the lake dredge. I don't understand. I mean, we're not asking to stop it, but nobody asked. There was no referendum. That money, my parents paid those utility bills. They knew. I remember when our yards were dug up and the sewers were put in. I don't understand if we're working on getting extra funding, why a referendum cannot be put forth and everybody can work on getting all this extra money that supposedly is going to come in. I know that if I would have been asked, can you take our sewer money? And knowing what I know about the JMOV, and they're not even returning any emails, how in good faith can you take the money that we gave you to repair and to keep up with our sewers? That's it, period. So I'm asking for that referendum.
May I answer the question?
Sure.
I am unaware of a referendum on a policy-specific type item like this. I am aware that Title 36 in the sewer works portion of the statute has places in it and procedures that they're in regarding public hearings and delivery and presentation to the ratepayers of rates, charges, increases, and the like, bond issues in certain circumstances in that. So it's not referendum specific to the best of my knowledge.
Maybe I used the wrong terminology.
No, I don't think so. That's fair. Normal people think that way, and that's a good question. But those are very specific, policy-specific type initiatives and actions. When regular law provides for procedure, it has to be followed.
Thank you for that. And what I do know, as a ratepayer, that if I went around this town and banded together with other ratepayers, I could sue this town and get that money back, reverted. I know that I would win that case. We would win that case as ratepayers. So I'm encouraging, before you decide what you're going to do with those funds, is to talk to the people who've been paying since the 90s, that percentage upcharge. Ask them, not everybody who's here, representing, we all love the lake. That's not what this is about. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin Sawaska, 8811 West 128th Court. You can say you're not talking about stopping the project, but when you take $2.1 million away from it, it's kind of hard to say you're not stopping the project. But I prepared something, so I'm going to read it. I'm a lifelong resident and a lifelong voter. The lake project has been talked about in this community for over 40 years. I remember signs when I was a kid throughout the whole town, my parents' yard included, "I pledge to dredge." As of today, I believe this new council has been in office 79 days. And here we are talking about stopping the dredge. You can say you're not, that's what you're doing. You might not like how it all came about, but the job has already started. Your job as a council is to work towards fixing issues and move the town forward, not killing projects that this community has worked towards for over 4 decades. In the last meeting, the agenda was amended. And anybody who was watching it could tell that at least 3 or 4 of you on the board knew that the meeting was going to be, the agenda was going to be amended. It wasn't a secret. Mr. Parker took the lead on it. He started with, for some reason, the man that used to sit in the middle, and he said the man that used to like all the attention. What that has to do with the lake, I don't know. He went on to say how inspired he was. 8 times I counted. Mr. Parker went on to say that in 2022, the old council broke the law. This is not true. It was vetted by legal and accountants. It was discussed in multiple public meetings. We have the same attorney that was here then, that is here now, and has probably been here longer than anybody but Mr. Carnahan.
Let me stop you right there. Was it vetted by you?
I'm not certain I know which part of this he's talking about.
You're not sure what?
I'm not certain which part of the project you are talking about.
The lake dredge, taking the money.
The lake dredge is a big topic.
Come on,
I'll be specific. Dave, with the transfer of the sewer funds before into the non-reverting fund, were you involved in that transfer?
I was not.
Thank you.
It wasn't vetted through you? Through legal?
I did not draft the document.
You personally, but your firm?
Did your firm do it?
No.
So they did that without consulting with the town attorney?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is our problem, that nobody understands.
I find that hard to believe.
I know, it is hard.
It absolutely is, and that's why we're here.
Julie, is that correct? Was this not vetted through legal?
I was under the assumption by the response to the State Board of Accounts that it was. The conclusion that I have before me, you will.
And I hope my time is not going to be over.
We'll pause your time. Determination of Cedar Lake to proceed on the Lake Eco Restoration Dredge project was undertaken in full compliance with statutory and local municipal law and requirements. That's the conclusion of this. So, to me, when I was on the council, seeing this response, I would hope that someone would have stopped us. We're not.
That's my point. If it was something illegal, you knew they were doing it, did you say, guys, we can't do that?
The letter that Julie's referring to is a response to the State Board of Accounts made in November last year, many months after the...
Okay, so let me bring my question in tight. You're here at every meeting.
No, most meetings.
Okay. Again, we're gonna split hairs. You're here at most meetings. Did you ever once tell them, you can't do this?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay, can I continue?
You certainly can say, it's not his job to tell them that they can and can't do something.
As a town attorney, I would think that might be part of it.
Dave doesn't run the town.
Well, one of
You
the...
would advise them.
I guarantee you, he did.
Oh, he has to.
Greg,
He says no.
if I may really quick, just to reiterate, we still never said we were gonna shut it down. Greg mentioned to move...
Okay, let me finish.
Hold on, I am speaking. I
was speaking.
I said you were lost. So listen,
I asked for this to be civilized.
I got interrupted once, now I'm getting interrupted twice.
false claims, I'm tired of them. Greg mentioned the 2.1 million. If you want me to do, I will hit
Mr. Slaska, please.
Mr. President, is it possible for me to change Greg's 2.1 million and ask for the full 2.9? That is me shutting it down.
I'm sorry, I'm really not listening, so repeat that.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Well, and you ain't listening to me, you guys both cut me off, so.
2.1 million.
Right.
That is not the full amount. The
Exactly.
amount that is in there is 2.9.
I didn't say it was.
If I
I
wanted
never
to
said
shut
it was.
this down,
I got that
I would
in there.
make the motion to
Never said it
move the
was.
full 2.9.
Never said it was. Then make the motion. Make the motion.
You don't want to shut it down. Nobody seems to listen.
I'm not, if he's gonna cut me off, he's gonna cut me off, he's gonna raise his voice, so that means I can't.
I'm just asking you, Bill. Can I ask the same thing? Okay.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
So regarding the transfer, sir, do you have any other comment?
Yes. Saying it is illegal. Let me find my spot. The same attorney, you might not like the way it's done, but to say it is illegal is not right. It just adds fuel to your fire that you were pushing. Earlier in the meeting, Mr. Parker brought up an ethics jar. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He said we should keep it on the desk, hopefully it stays empty. Because what he brought up was obviously personal, Julie asked him what happened with his ethics jar. The answer you gave, remember, kind of a slap in the face of all of us. Remember what you said?
Kevin, I've never intended to slap the face of this community, but I'll tell you something. I've been in politics for a long
Remember what you
time.
said?
I don't remember exactly what
You said
I
I'll
said.
throw 20 in next week, next meeting. That's what you said.
Well, I can still commit to that.
Well, that just goes to show you know what you're doing isn't right.
Kevin, there's a whole lot of things that have happened here in the past that aren't right. When I got involved in politics in Cedar Lake,
Hey, can I
on
finish?
the local level, it was respectable. Over the years, it turned into a cesspool.
Over the years, the town has grown tremendously.
It
For the better.
certainly has.
For the
So has some of the crap.
As I said in the beginning, I've been here my whole life. I don't know if we want to go back to what it used to be, but I don't.
I don't either, Kevin. I've worked pretty hard to not do that.
I don't see it, because it sounds to me like you do want to go
Because
back.
you're not seeing everything that's going on here.
No, I'm not seeing it.
We got a west side sewer interceptor
Yep,
that is incomplete, that we have to fund. We have no money to
To
fund it.
me, the lake project and the development go hand in hand.
So does the west side sewer interceptor, Kevin.
Yes. You guys putting a moratorium on all new development, this means no new revenues coming into the town. No permit fees, no water system charges, no park fees, and yes, the wastewater sewer. None of them fees are getting taken up anymore by new development, because you guys put a stop to it. When new residents stop coming, businesses stop coming. Also, any partnerships that you may have had with developers stop, which means nothing is helping offset the costs. This year, in a planning meeting, Olthoff offered a water tower and a well for the development of 141st and Parish.
They did not.
They did not?
They did not. They offered a site. And I want to clarify something for you. We shouldn't even be getting into this talk. Regarding the transfer of funds.
Yes, this is all
We
part
can
of-
go into the moratorium and all that stuff on another time, but regarding the transfer of funds.
But part of the reason that you guys want to transfer the funds is because you're saying you don't have the money in the sewer fund, correct?
Yeah, correct. And we're trying to fund sewer projects and the lake at the same time. If we just fund the lake and don't worry about the sewer, we're gonna have crap that's still going up, coming out, surcharging out of the road. Would you rather continue to have that?
Don't the two go hand in hand?
That's what we're trying to do.
When you stop, when you put a moratorium on it, how is that helping bring funds in?
We have 1,400 lots that are left unbuilt. It will take years for us to build out what is currently looming, and we're at capacity at the sewer plant. Were you aware of that?
Yes, the sewer plant.
So how are we supposed to approve more projects if we're at capacity at the sewer plant?
The sewer plant.
We're not talking about that.
We shouldn't be, I'm sorry, it's just, there's so much false information that's going on out there, I have a hard time not.
The sewer plant is going to move forward regardless, I mean, that's a done deal.
When?
With what money?
No, if Lowell is gonna do it.
No, we own half of it.
That's my point, they are moving forward, correct?
When? What time frame? Because I know the time frame.
I don't have their time frame.
Yes, sir,
They're moving forward.
the 3 minutes is up, we have a whole handful of other people here
Let
that
me
want to
finish
talk.
my statement without.
Finish your statement, and that's it. I'm sorry, there's 40 other people.
Which means the existing ratepayers are gonna flip the bill for the wastewater treatment expansion. During the meeting, multiple times, Julie tried to talk and was interrupted. Not sure if it's because you don't wanna hear what she was saying, or you don't want the rest of us to hear what she was saying. I'm just gonna skip to my last part here, because to be honest with you, I'm getting pissed off. In closing, as you decide your vote, please remember this, roughly 13% of the people came out to vote this last election. 13% is what put you up there, and a very high number. If this project is defunded, I believe way more are gonna show up, and it's not gonna be the vote for you guys.
Thank you. Please come on up. You don't need permission to come on up. Just come on up one at a time. Say your name and address for the record.
Name's Tom Vanderwerf, 7515 136th Lane.
I'm just gonna fix this, because it's humming really bad in the back.
Yeah. So just as a recap, you have $2 million and some change that was moved from the sewers to the dredging, and now you want to move it back.
It was 4.4. 4.4 million was moved.
Okay.
There's 2.9 and change left in the account right now, and we're considering moving 2.1 million. As Rich Teal said, we could consider transferring over. That's not our goal. We want to transfer some of it over to get projects done and leave money there to continue this project and secure other funding to finish this project, the lake project.
So the only question I have is say the money does move back over to the sewer, to fund the sewer projects, and the state representative doesn't come through with the extra funding. Are they just going to run the money that we have to zero and then just stop?
In theory, but we have the state representative, we have our county commissioner that we've asked for money from that claims he will give us some money, and we also have a class action lawsuit that our engineer has requested $2 million from. So it's millions of dollars from 3 different sources.
Okay.
Yeah, but in theory, that could happen, yeah.
Yeah, because it might take longer for all that stuff to get resolved than it does for the dredge.
So we have a request out to the county commissioner that was requested last month, and we have the deadline for the $2 million for the Monsanto lawsuit, which the deadline is April 24th or April 27th of this year, and we'll know soon after that about those funds. So there have been things in the works for a while here, even going back last year to try to fund this thing.
So if they run out of money, if there's a gap between getting more funds, is there going to be an agreement with the dredge company to where they won't just pull everything out?
I'm going to let Attorney Austin speak on this, because we had a little bit of discussion, him and I, about this, about the nature of Dredge America and the companies they contract out with.
Dredge America, they have a contract. They gave us a contract that is their contract. Our engineers checked off on it. It's a specialty kind of public work, if you will. And in that, we have the opportunity to stay the proceedings for a 90-day period if necessary for whatever reason we need it for. The town also has the opportunity as owner to terminate, simply terminate. We don't want to do that, but these are types of things that are in the contract that would permit time to be purchased for funding to be found. So that, I think, is what we've been talking about.
So there's basically they have a 90-day window at most.
Well, if they were given 90 days tomorrow, yeah, that's a fact. That would be a time period.
Do we have any idea at the rate of the spending how much time you have to wait by the time you hit zero?
Yeah, I've talked with the engineer about that, and it's kind of hard to determine because from day to day they pull out different quantities, and we're still trying to figure out exactly where we're going to be dredging this year. We have a general location, but there's some talks about dredging a couple areas that came up since last year that may need attention.
So they wouldn't have enough to be able to finish the whole year?
It's possible, but we don't know. They're dredging, according to the engineer, they're dredging anywhere from 1,000 to 4,000 cubic yards a day. That's historically. So it's kind of hard to judge that when you have such a wide range of possible dredging material coming out. But I did ask him that because it's a valid point.
Okay. I was just wondering if it was like, did they give you anything like, could be a half a year, could be a full year?
I asked him if we can get through the year. He said it was possible. but there's no guarantees. Yeah.
All right, I just figured that was information everybody wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you asking that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Donna Corey, 14605 Bryan Street. I have one question. This gentleman said the dredge is gonna cost $9 million. We only had $4 million and something cents in the sewage fund in the first place. If we moved it all to the dredge funding, even if we kept it there, where's the other $5 million gonna come from?
A lot of that's already been spent. Most of it's already been spent through other funding sources. And of course, a good portion of that sewer fund has already been spent too, that was transferred over.
Can we ask Bob what the numbers were again on TIF, I believe?
Wastewater funding, was $2 million, and that came from wastewater, and then the supplemental wastewater fund was $2,241.53. RDEA, lease rental bonds is $3,900,000, and Lair grants of $600,000, and Cedar Lake Eco Restoration, $409,000, with a total of $9,250,953.
So this is what I'm trying to say. Why is everybody so upset about, let's give the money back to the sewage system so all these people that were promised to build these existing plants can get sewage hookup and get everything running that was already promised to them? In the long run, where are we going to get the rest of the it would be like $7 million to complete this project?
It's already been, most of it's already been spent. Over half of the material has already been removed from the lake that was contracted.
So in other words, and I'm going to ask a question, I might be very naive about this. So we had a very mild winter. Why didn't Dredge America continue to work during this mild winter?
They came back a little early.
For the contract, I think they have a starting date and an ending date that they have to abide by. Attorney Austin?
And most winters are not like this winter, Ms. Corey's right.
That's where I was going, is how could we have known back in August or September, when they were looking to move on to their next project, that we were gonna have such a mild winter? There's just no way.
And I am going to bring up a scenario that did happen to me. I don't know if everyone, I do work at Bugaboo's Bar and Grill. I work every Saturday. So I get up, the Amazon guy comes and delivers stuff to me. So this one day, this Amazon guy comes in, he's like, I don't know where to bring this. I'm like, well, what is it? It says, Dredge America, Lakeshore Drive, Cedar Lake. I'm like, do they have an address or whatever? So I accepted the package, and believe it or not, I took a kayak, and I drove the kayak to the facility, and it was actually the pump that broke down that they ordered. But I feel like, you're looking at a scenario of millions of dollars of this company, and it was randomly delivered to a bar and grill on the lake. God, I knew, the situation that was going on because I took it to the appropriate people. But just to put it out there, so.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Yeah, but I'm just saying.
How much more is Robert Brosek, 14055 Theodore.
I know, that was our tax dollars.
I think the people here should be told in the last JLB meeting how long it would take to expand that plant. We were given a time frame of approximately 3 years if they started today. Am I
Best
correct?
case scenario, you're
Best
correct.
case scenario, starting today.
2 years of engineering and then 4 years to do, total of 4 years.
Correct, to expand that plant.
Yeah. And which Julie called me and told me that I needed to talk to our financial advisor, Sue Hayes, because I misunderstood her. I thought it was gonna increase the sewer rate by $74 additional dollars. I talked to her for almost 45 minutes on the phone. She told me the sewer rate will go from $48 up to $74, and the garbage will have to go up $2. So if you're not on the water system, you pay $78 a month. And the new cost is going to cost you $106 a month. So that's an approximate $48 a month increase on our sewer rates to cover this cost. That doesn't include not having the money for the West Side Sewer Interceptor.
Totally agree. I was a pollution officer for 30 years with the Water Reclamation District in Chicago, and that plant is approximately 200 times bigger than the one in Lowell. If that sewer ever decides to overflow, back up, you could have the cleanest lake in the state of Indiana, and I'll tell you what, all that doo-doo water is going to hit that lake real fast. So all that money's going down the drain. If you just cleaned it, that's what's going to happen. That capacity of that plant right now is approximately 98%. Lowell, we only get 50% of that, and I think from the last meeting that I went to and you guys were at, we were over our 50% limit. Am I correct? I think we were 51 or 52 and they were at 40, 48?
Historically, we are 50% or better of capacity.
And we're only supposed to be at 50. And Lowell is still building, and they do not have a moratorium set up for any type of new building as we do.
That is correct.
Take that into consideration as you move on. I've seen the effects of what happens when the sewers back up. It's not pretty. And that will flow to your lake all day long.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening. Bob Gross, 8505 West 140th Avenue. I'm glad to hear that, there is a lot of misinformation out there about the project. And I tried to reach out to a couple of you, you didn't want to talk to me, I get it. Like I said in the last meeting, I'm not your enemy. I took on my own time to call Baker Tilly in Indianapolis. I think I gave it to Mary Joan, I gave it to Julie. And I gave you a contact. He is he's an engineer that handles all the different bonds in the state of Indiana. Did you guys get that?
I got it from you and I talked about.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, we talked a little bit about what could happen if the project failed. Dave says they have an out, okay, well, that might be fine, but I still think you're gonna have to pay to demobilize, correct?
Correct.
Gotta pay that anyway, regardless.
No, that's part of the fee. You don't pay to demobilize, that's part of the, per cubic yard.
That's not what our engineer had said.
That is what your engineer told me.
Okay, well, I have the.
That is part of the
They just looked
cubic
at
yard.
it, they just looked at it 2 hours ago.
Okay. So if we have to pay the demo, now we've got nothing. We're not gonna be dredging anymore. You said there's 2.9 million left in the account, correct?
Yeah, right.
$900,000. I don't think they'll be going as fast as they did last year, or at least that's what they told me when I talked to them the other day, because they're gonna be moving around a lot more to smaller areas. So I think, how long will 900,000 last? My question is, if we get near the end of the summer, and we're out of that $900,000, will you go back and use that sewer money, bring it back over and pay the bill?
Can I stop you right there? Last time you were here, you said there's $1 million sitting at the county waiting for this lake eco restoration project.
Yep.
And we've made 2 requests for that money to go into that account.
Yep.
That would fund it for at least the next year.
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
And then Mr. Niemeyer and Mr. Aylesworth, I talked about the commitment that they had committed to continue to try to raise money from the state for this project. So we can potentially have everything. We can have the West Side Sewer Interceptor. We can work on some of the water needs here. We can potentially have some money from outside Cedar Lake ratepayers and taxpayers to help move this project forward for the next couple of years. And everybody gets what they want and what they need. And that's responsible. And if that money is really there, I would implore those county officials to release that money and let us use it to fund the lake dredge for the next year. And let us also finish the West Side Sewer Interceptor so we can stop pumping raw sewage into the lake over by your business.
That I never, sued the town for, by the way.
Well,
and just so you know, that's been happening for decades.
I know it has.
And it has slowed down quite a bit because of new lift stations and,
it's gotten a lot better.
Well, Bob, that West Side Sewer Interceptor has
I
been,
understand all that.
it's been in the plans for like 10 years.
I understand.
And it's just now getting started. This echo restoration hasn't been in the plan for 10 years.
Yeah.
This public safety building hasn't been in the plan for 10. That's part of my frustration, is all the money and all the poor planning that happened so quickly and left us in the financial situation and the mechanical situation that we're in. It's frustrating from a fiduciary responsibility to this community to do what needs to be done when all this stuff happened at once and nobody thought about the long-term funding process for it. And I'm not trying to pass the buck or blame anybody, but I'm 90 days in here, and this place is in worse shape than I ever seen it, and I was here before for 3 terms. So we're just trying to get to a point where we make something make sense and fund it.
Okay, now can I continue?
Sure.
Thank you for the lecture. I heard that the last time. So, the $1 million, there you go. There you go. $1 million that Jerry Tiffy was gonna give, was scheduled to give for the alum treatment. The alum treatment comes after the dredging.
Is that written anywhere? Specifically for alum treatment, or is it dedicated to echo restoration?
According to the meeting I had with Commissioner Tiffy, that he said this would be for the alum treatment because that will help the water.
So verbal, nothing written?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, I'm just telling you what the man told me. And then I got a text that he said that if we defund this project, he's not gonna send me $1 million. And I got a text, from someone. And, I've tried to reach out to him, I talked to Senator Niemeyer yesterday, he said he's gonna try to get us money, just like you said. But he said he doesn't really want to back up the project, it'd be easier to sell extending and finishing the project and doing the alum treatment. We have a meeting next week with the fisheries. And, fisheries, they made an estimate when they said they were gonna do this about $1 million. I continually hear, it's a state lake, it's a state lake, they're not doing anything. Just in my last meeting, I said, where did the land come? Where did we get the land? Who paid for that? The state, $1 million paid for that land for the
$2 million from Sioux Landscape.
Yeah. So, have any of you been down to, the boardwalk down here lately? Been over to the dam lately? Have you seen the 17 projects that CLIA completed over the last 30 years? Where do you think that money came from?
And we made a significant investment here too, Bob. Plus, what isn't counted in what Bob talked about, the $9 million that we're expected to spend?
I'm talking about lake projects.
I'm talking about that too. We put an infrastructure for the lake, in process for this echo restoration as well.
Well, you did.
And we spent over $1 million that isn't counted in what Bob said in engineering for it over the years. So, $10 million, we're the only ones investing in it. Isn't it about time that some money came from somewhere else?
I agree, but I'm just saying there's been money spent, Greg. That's my whole thing here. They gave us between $1.5 and $2 million to complete those CLIA projects through Lake and River Enhancement and Build Indiana. So to say that they're not giving anything is untrue. The public needs to know that, Greg.
Other than the $2 million for the property, there hasn't been another investment other than CLIA.
Well, Lair.
And what the...
And Build Indiana.
And what the town has done with stormwater monies, the town has done a lot with stormwater money.
Yeah.
But here's the long and short, just like Mr. Grosek said, got up here and said a little bit ago, we don't get the West Side Sewer Interceptor, we don't have the sewer system intact, we're just wasting money.
I understand that. And that's why I need the council, Baker Tilly. That man said to me, the most important thing he said to me, he goes, Bob, this is the salesman in me talking. He says, we have millions and millions of federal money available if you go after it. If you call this guy right here, like I told Mary Jo and Nick, call him, get an appointment, meet with him. He says there's millions of dollars. It's grant money. It's not ratepayer money, it's grant money.
I wish I'd have known that before we spent all the ratepayer money.
Pardon me?
I wish I would have known that before we spent all the ratepayer money.
Thank you.
Well, we didn't know that this issue was coming up, and I've done some,
That's confusing then. If we didn't know because of this issue is coming up, that means it's okay that we spend the ratepayers' money regardless of any other grant.
That's not true at all, Rich.
That's how I just interpreted it.
No, not at all. I did this to make sure what would happen to this town if our bond rating falls and future, expenditures, how much more the interest rates would cost us if our bond rating falls from a AA minus to a triple B. It'd be millions of dollars in additional interest. We may even have to go to a hedge fund to get money to do some of these bond issues you're talking about.
Bob, that statement's false because we haven't defaulted on a thing, and we're not going to.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. And I didn't know that till tonight, but I'm telling you, that's why I called Baker Tilly. And through a friend says, call this man because he does 70% of the muni bonds in the state of Indiana, and he has access to millions of dollars. So I'm giving you...
But and we could go on all night here. There's no reason why this has to be so adversarial, because I think we all want the same thing. We just got to figure out how to fund it. But I will tell you what the end result will be for every ratepayer in this community. Bob kind of touched on it earlier. I think that number's kind of light. But let's say that the sewer rates, and they're going to have to go up at some point, and we're going to have to explain to everybody in this community why they're paying $140 or $150 a month just to flush the toilet forever.
So that's why I gave you this, Greg, right here. Let's talk to him and see if we can apply for grant money. It costs the ratepayer nothing to replenish this money that was used.
Well, I wish we'd have done that from the beginning.
Well, I didn't know about it till now, Greg, so I just shared it with you, and you're being adversarial to me. I'm trying to help the town. I'm not your enemy.
I'm not your enemy either. I don't want to be.
Well, I'm just saying.
Bob, I'm one of those guys that tries to look for solutions, not more problems.
Me too. Absolutely me too.
Bob, Mr. Gross, do you have anything else to add?
That'll be it.
All right, thank you, sir. We're going to start with you, Mr. Phil, 3 minutes, okay? I'm trying to keep You're going to be the one that gets cut off.
I'm just going to give a little history of this whole thing and give my 2 cents in. I don't think anybody here is against cleaning the lakes, but I believe many of us are against paying for a state-owned lake in a very non-transparent way in which it was done. Not to mention all the other needs we currently have for utility funds. Many of us believe this project should have been done with the Army Corps of Engineers to give it direction and a plan. Nothing being done now will contribute to the sustainability of the lake as the Army Corps plan is spelled out. All we have heard about is how doing this on our own was saving money. How is that? Who decided that we know better than the Army Corps how to do this project? We taxpayers and utility customers have spent $3.9 million of TIF funds that were supposed to be used for developing our business area. $4.4 million in wastewater funds that should have gone to the wastewater plant expansion or to the sewer interceptor. Over $8 million spent with no funding source for the so-called next phase of the project. No funds for any further restoration or sustainability or funds to do anything with the dewatering facility afterward. Sure seems like we're already close to that $12 million figure that it would have caused us to do the project with the Army Corps. A project that would have had a plan and a responsible party. Lots of unanswered questions that don't even explain the non-transparent way in which these funds were taken. Way back in November of 2021, there were discussions in the town council meeting about spending $2 million in ARPA funds, $2 million in wastewater funds, and $3.5 million of the TIF fund, as stated in the minutes of that meeting, and to support a formulation of a plan. There was no resolution, no public discussion, or any further mention of that plan. Then on July 5th of 2022, the council once again discussed this item and whether to award a bid for $5.2 million or to go the max for $5.9 million to the dredging with a commitment to use sewer funds to fill the funding gap. Once again, no transparency, no public input, no resolution to transfer funds or an amount. This project was awarded and started, and it was some 5 months later that a resolution for $4.4 million of wastewater funds to fill that gap was created and passed, after tabling it 4 times, as it was said to get the wording right. Again, no transparency. We are $8 million into this project with the talk of another $2 to $3 million for the next phase. $2 to $3 million we don't have, and then what after that? The Army Corps plan was very specific about stopping inflow of all new sediment into the lake, which has not been done. It explains how the alum treatments will not help with new sediment and nutrient loading. And what about alum? Alum is described as a gelatinous substance, so we will have a lake with a jello bottom. Alum is a substance that is used in water treatment filtration plants. It's used to purify water for drinking systems. Alum also produces a sludge and that sludge that produced has to be sent to landfills. So what happens if we put alum in the dewatering facility, or we put it in the lake, as they're talking about, and there's future dredging needs in the lake? Does all that future dredging projects now have to go to a landfill? I mean, there's so many things involved in this, okay? What about the establishment, as in the core plan, of aquatic plants, which the Army Corps said was a vital component of the restoration and necessary for its long-term success? What about all the other steps the Army Corps said were necessary for long-term success? Or are we just footing the bill for a Band-Aid and a promise? I think the worst thing is that we are having this discussion now after the fact, when these kind of discussions and questions should have been part of open public discussion the whole way. This project should have been done with the Army Corps and following the recommendations made in the feasibility study. Should have been done with the state putting funds into the project and not just promises from politicians. This project should not have been done with TIF funds or utility funds from the taxpayers and utility customers of our town. Funds that we all know are greatly needed to expand our wastewater utility and provide more and better quality water to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I respond to the Corps of Engineers real quick. 1 minute.
Really quick.
1 minute.
Really quick.
Okay, I had that anyway in my talk. So the LPP plan was the end product that the Corps talked about. That was $22 million. Our share of that was $11,900,000. Okay, that was in 2016, folks. Do you think economies of scale have changed since 2016? By a lot. It could be 20 to 30% more than that. It could be $30 million. The Corps of Engineers wanted us to give them $800,000 to pay them for that 15-year study they took to study our lake. 15 years. And we're talking how good the Corps is? Are you kidding me? That's federal government. 15 years to study this lake. We hired Peter Verini. He came in, who is Peter, I have in my notes here, is a geologist, dredging expert, and professional geologist, certified lake professional, who's got years and years of experience. He decided to dredge the shallow area. I 100% agree with him. The Corps of Engineers wanted to dredge the south bowl of the lake initially, in the deepest part. All that shallow area that we just got from the north end would still be getting stirred up by boats and wind waves. This project is so much better. We wanted to raise more money, do the alum treatment, and the plant life will come. That was all part of it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here for public comment? Come on up, please.
Pretty fast as possible. Brian Kuhl, 7600 West 136 Court, Cedar Lake. I have been involved in this off and on since 1970s. For those of you who want to say, let the state do it, that's a joke. Trust me. I've been involved in probably 20 meetings in the state over the years, and nothing. If this lake was anywhere near Indianapolis, it has been done 30 years ago. Okay? I don't know why we're the armpit of the state, but they don't want to help us. So just to make it sound like it's not our problem, it's a state problem, give me a break. It's not going to happen. Unless you have a direct contact with the governor, I'm not sure that that would do it. Because it's been frustrating, folks. Bob, and the people here that have worked very hard over the years are frustrated. Maybe we're pushing the envelope. I'm 66 years old. We started this in the 70s. Maybe we want to see it get done before we go under. So my opinion is, I was hoping to come here tonight and say, how can we get this project to go farther than it is, not pull it back? We cannot go backwards, people. Going backwards is just no good. It's no good for us. We look like a bunch of dummies. We don't know what we're doing. And that lake, look at this, water ski, this and that. There you go. That's our identity. Okay? Not anybody else around here has a lake sitting in the middle of their town. I got people out here swimming in the summer in green water. Kids and stuff, they make fun of us about the water. I've had enough of this ridiculing about our lake, about how we're, I don't even want to say the words, but, I grew up in it. And I just want to see it do better. And do what you got to do, guys, but we got to we gotta move forward. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Dave Valerius, 13414 Cedar Street. I have one question for the board. It's, what is the liquidated damages clause on the contract in the event that the dredge is stopped?
Mr. Austin?
There isn't one, just true up actual costs and expenses to date.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I've read the contract too, sir, and it's pretty clear. It actually heavily favors the owner, which is the town of Cedar Lake, but like I said, nobody's considering doing that right now.
All right, thank you.
He's been waiting for a little while, so you
Go,
can come.
I'll get
Okay.
mine.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Terry Broders, 14513 Morris. As I've said in the past, speaking on this item, to me, one of the reasons I came to Cedar Lake was because of lake life living, right? It's a town with a lake. And I've also said that, you know, if we don't plan properly, we'll no longer be a lake town. We'll be basically a city with a lake in the middle of it. And you guys are taking some of the steps necessary to hopefully try to slow things down and prepare for the future a little more wisely. But throughout the night, hearing some of the comments, I think there's been a little bit of smoke. And I just wanted to clear a few things up. The lake, the money that was transferred into a non-reverting fund, and correct me if I'm wrong, was $4.4 million. And that was put into a non-reverting fund to accompany the money already received to dredge the lake for the entire project. And you said it was going to be somewhere between 8 and 9 million was the entire project?
It was $9 million and change. That was a contract with Dredge America. I don't remember the exact figure.
And correct me if I'm wrong, isn't even that a reduced figure from the original plan when the federal government was involved with funding partial of this project? Wasn't it somewhere around $12 million in the first original phase, the way they drew it up the first time?
The total was like 22 million.
Oh, 22, I'm sorry,
They talked about giving us
missed by
11.
10.
They talked about giving us 11 million, but it was never appropriated.
And then the federal government dropped out of the project, but
No, we voted on it, and I've not seen the meeting minutes in a while. In 2018, to get out of the Army Corps project, it was lengthy, it was more expensive.
do you remember if you did stay in that project, if you did stay in that program and followed through with that, do you remember what the matching percentages were?
Well,
Is it a 50-50 match, 80-20?
it was like 11 million, so probably half, but that was 2016. They were saying 22, I think it was 22 to 25 million in 2016.
Up to 25 million.
Or 25, so that would have gone up, and again, it was earmarked but not appropriated, and it was a lot of lengthy meetings and negotiations.
So what you're telling, what I'm sort of hearing, Julie, and I'm sorry if I go just a minute long, ladies and gentlemen of the board, I apologize. But what I'm hearing is that to only spend $8 million on a $22 million project, you're really not getting it done properly. You're only doing like half the job?
No, it's not half the job. It's federal government money and independent contractor money. Like if we needed new toilets here in town hall,
Let me
we would
rephrase
find
the question.
some federal government.
If the project originally was coming in at $22 million
Right.
projected,
Mhm.
but then you guys came up with a new project in Cedar Lake at the town council level to turn it into $9 million?
With engineers.
What happened to the work?
But we're
That would be
doing,
consistent between that
we're
difference in money.
doing more work
More
with
work for
doing
less
it
money.
in our own. Because they only wanted to do the south end of the lake with the Army Corps, and we added the north end to the lake.
So now you're saying, we've only done half the lake for $22 million with the Army Corps, and we're doing the whole lake for $9 million.
Not the whole lake.
No, just a little more.
Not even
Because
close.
again, everything's gonna cost more with the federal government.
So let me get back to the money, and then I'm gonna.
Yeah, the money,
finish this
we're
up.
you're considering the money here
Thank you,
transferred
sir.
here.
Going back to the money, just what you guys are talking about doing tonight, is reverting or returning, and I like to use that word returning, not taking away. Somebody mentioned that earlier tonight, use that term, taking it away or removing it, the correct term would be returning it to the original fund, to the ratepayers that we're expecting you guys to expand the sewage plant and also increase water service with that money. So my question at the end of this whole thing, if you're only gonna give back 2.1, how do we get the other 2.3? How do the ratepayers become whole for the whole 4.4? And if we're gonna go and try to track down grant money, and we're gonna go to track down state money and county money, and even donors' money, then maybe some of the payback should go to pick up that 2.3 over the course of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Hi, all. Bill Stetson, 506 West 134th Place. Sent you an email on Sunday. I buy booze from Brian, bought a boat from Bob, 24 years, been knocking on my family's door for 35 years asking for money. A lot of numbers tossed around tonight. I'm really bad with math. I'd like to know what it costs to mobilize this project before one drop of mud, ounce of mud, is pulled out of the bottom. So the land, plumbing under the railroad tracks, everything up until the point where we started sucking stuff out of the lake. How much was spent?
Exact dollar amount, it was, I know the mobilization and demobilization was $1 million, which we paid for most of that already. The sediment dewatering facility.
That was better than two, we're right at $2 million.
And as far as that other work there, I'm not sure if that was baked into the cost for the dredging or not.
So is it fair to ballpark it at $4 million all in before we took a drop out?
Maybe 3 to 4.
Probably at least 3 to 3.5.
Do we not want to maximize the return on investment there?
We do. We, and I will say one last time, we're trying to do both here. We're trying to fix, this town means nothing if we don't have a sewer system that works.
Understood.
It doesn't matter if you live on the lake or not. We're trying, the goal of this council is to accomplish both tasks at once.
I guess my fear is we will run, if we take that money out of the fund, and we have 900,000 give or take left, we will run out of money this summer, more than likely, within the next year, within the next fiscal year, within the next 365 days. If that happens and they pull out, they demobilize, the process to get somebody back in and remobilize, it's probably not gonna happen. So we're done. I mean, we're done. Our reputation, because we pulled out, no contract with dredge company, whoever, they're not gonna come back. It was, by pulling teeth to get this far, we're here, hit the gas pedal, let's move forward, let's get it done. I pledge to dredge.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here for public comment on this item? Anyone else? Last call.
Carl Frey, 7326 West 143rd Avenue. I brought this issue up about a month and a half ago. And the issue I brought up was the fact that the money was transferred from the stormwater to the dredging project in violation of Indiana code. The Indiana Board of Accounts sent a letter to the treasurer here and asked for answers in reference to how that was justified, and it wasn't. It wasn't answered properly. Another response came from the State Board of Accounts, and one additional clarification. That letter was sent to the town attorney. He and his staff wrote up a very similar response, and again, State Board of Accounts indicated that was not sufficient to justify the transfer of $4.3 million. Now, I live on the lake, and I've lived here for 50, 60 years. I love the lake. I am not opposed to dredging. What I am opposed to, and I brought it up, is utilization of funds improperly when those funds are designated under resolution for wastewater treatment. That resolution was changed 3 or 4 times, and nowhere in the resolution does it allow for that money to be taken out of that fund and transferred over into the dredging project. I read all 88 pages of the audit. I read part of that, 44 pages, was the treasurer's report, to make sure I had my numbers right. Now, there's been a lot of talk about pulling the money back, and I brought that up myself originally. And the reason I brought it up is the expansion of the lake has grown tremendously, and it was growing to the point where we cannot sustain the growth, we cannot sustain the sewer requirements, we cannot sustain the water requirements, we cannot sustain the infrastructure requirements, and we're at a point where the town is bonded out tremendously to fund all these different projects. More than likely, we're going to have to float another bond to pay for the sewer projects. So, I don't want to pull the money back on it. I mean, I do, we need it for the sewer. I don't want to stop the dredging, but I'm realistic. The gentleman came up here prior to me, my apologies. He said our reputation will be ruined if we stop the project and pull the money back from the dredging project.
Those were not my words.
Let me finish. Our reputation will be worse if we do not fix the sewer problems and we revert back to what was happening 30, 40, 50 years ago, where no one wanted to come to Cedar Lake. It was known as Sewer Lake. Not Cedar Lake, Sewer Lake. We have to make sure the infrastructure for the sewer system is carte blanche repaired, so we're not being laughed at for sewer in the lake again. And Bob, I know you've worked your butt off, and we don't agree on everything. But, apparently? Well, on some things we do, we don't. But the one thing we do agree on, if we both want the same good things from the town, and Brian's the same way. We all want good things from the town. But at the same time, your task was a rough challenge. We've got to fix the sewers. We're in a situation where a contractual agreement was made, and we have to look at how do we balance that out. And I don't envy you. It is not an easy resolution either way. But I commend you for what you've done.
Carl, you and I have something in common, because although I live on the other side of town, my family has a cottage in Cedar Point Park, and we have a boat in the lake. And this is not an us versus them type of deal. I've got an interest in the lake, and I've got an interest in the sewer system. And that's how a lot of people are. And the goal is to try to fix both of those problems, with the focus being sustainability. Like you said, sustainability, that's what we're trying to do. There hasn't been a huge focus on that lately, but regardless of what people think about this consideration tonight, that's what the goal is of this council.
Yep, I agree, and I know it's not easy decisions you have to make, and I wish you well.
Thank you, sir.
And Carl, I'll add to this. In 1998, then the town council that was on here, I wasn't with them. Well, I wasn't. But the sewer bill was $18 a month. They increased it by $30. That made it $48 a month. And $6 of that fund was supposed to go to a special fund towards our own plant.
Right.
And that never happened.
But IDEM said we can't do our own plant, 'cause
Well,
we're already
yeah.
married for local.
It hasn't been raised since 1998.
There you go.
It should have been raised incrementally, but how long?
Good evening, Brian Bogenschneider, 9714 Tradewind Place. Yes, I am that guy. I'm the guy that put it out on Facebook, addressing the issues. Somebody had asked, do you work for Mr. Gross? Yes, I do. I'm also a realtor. I'm a retired firefighter with this town. I've been here for coming up on 16 years. The growth going forward, It's beautiful. I mean, this town is totally different. I don't want to be in your shoes. Nobody does. But you guys signed up for it, all right? So we need to push forward, not worry about what's happened in the past. Push forward, be a problem solver. But you know what? Let's do it together. Let's not attack each other. Let's stop blaming everybody. Stop the blame game. And you know what? It was evident. These two knew nothing about what happened in that last meeting. You guys hit them right between the eyes with it. So you want to be transparent, let's be transparent.
That's not necessarily true.
That is absolutely true. Are
Julie,
you
100% certain that that is true?
Yeah, you can tell by...
Okay, hold on 1 minute. Mary Jones, an hour and a half before that last meeting, did I not call you and tell you why Greg wanted to call because of the transfer resolution?
But I didn't get the information.
There you go.
No, but I'm saying, did I not call you and tell you?
Well, there was information, yeah, but I didn't get the information.
But you didn't get the call, remember?
I spoke to you about Greg wants to transfer $2.1 million back into the sewer fund.
Tit for tat. Let's just stop.
Did I not tell you that on that meeting?
Let's move
I'm
on.
just saying, I want to get, because we're talking 100% sure here. Did I not call you an hour and a half before that meeting and
So
told you?
Greg tried to get a hold of me on
And I
Sunday.
said, because Greg wants to transfer $2.1
Okay, so there's your transparency, everybody.
So now you're saying no.
Transparency.
I just want to
I
clarify for the
appreciate you
record.
guys, though, I really do.
I just want to clarify for the record. This discussion has been talked about since the beginning of the year in public meetings.
Sure.
And for the record, I voted against the transfer money when I was on the council last year.
Yeah, no, I saw
Bob did too.
Yep.
And so this is not a surprise to anybody.
Right, and it's okay to like, Mr. Parker, he voted towards these subdivisions, okay? Back in 2019, he voted for them. It's okay to change your mind, guys. I'm not saying, like, at one time it might have been a good idea. Other times...
Mr. Bogenschneider, I voted for subdivisions that met the letter of the law to be moved forward. That's what you have to do.
Yes, absolutely.
If you have the capacity to supply a subdivision, and they meet all the requirements, and you don't vote to approve it, there will be litigation, and you will lose.
Yeah, and we have one right over here, we could get a tip.
Today, we don't have capacity, and we don't have sewer capacity or water supply. That's why we have a moratorium.
No, I understand, you're not talking to a simple person, I definitely understand.
I'm just clarifying.
Absolutely, yeah.
We have a job to do.
Yes, you do, and you know what, we're here to support you, and we're here to, whatever we could do, we'll dig in, let's go, let's do it all together.
That's all we want to do.
Okay, so let's do it, let's stop with the anonymous bullshit, let's stop with it.
I'm not in favor of anything.
Exactly. Let's just say who we are and put it out there, because that's who we are. We're Cedar Lake. We're all Cedar Lake.
I'm not, what are you implying there exactly?
I'm not implying anything. I'm sorry if you took it.
It sounded like you did.
No, I'm sorry if you took it that way, but I didn't imply anything. What I'm saying is we are all Cedar Lake. Let's just push together, and let's do this together. We can all do it together. We can all help each other. All right?
Last call for public comment. Anybody else here for public comment? Here?
Nick, I want to say one thing. Mr. Frank Rongill on Clea has probably worked harder than anybody on that division out there. That man got out there and pulled pilings out of that lake. He is an amazing man.
They don't have it on here.
Sarah, do you have anybody online or anything submitted electronically?
We're doing trainings.
Public comment is now closed on this item. I really do appreciate everybody's comments on this, on both sides of the fence. We need a reading of the resolution number 1351 by title only, Mr. Parker.
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, resolution number, what resolution number is this?
1351.
1351. A resolution amending previously approved resolution number 1377, authorizing the physical transfer of previously pledged funds by the clerk treasurer to fund the ecosystem restoration project and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Any other board discussion?
Yeah, I just had a couple of clarifications. Mr. Spree, you brought up that, our attorney and clerk treasurer wrote their opinion to the State Board of Accounts.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Out there. Mr. Austin, after this November 15th letter and Ms. Sandberg's November 21st letter, did we hear back from the State Board of Accounts
I did not,
on this matter?
and to my knowledge, counted, or
The clerk
clerk
treasurer
treasurer did not hear.
So, again, I take issue with the fact that it's being called illegal. You know, I have meeting minutes here from January 2022, July 2023, where they talked about sewer funds being used. It was mentioned. I just feel like saying that this was illegal, it's not. And it's all, I want to also enter into the meeting minutes this letter from Ms. Sandberg and from Mr. Austin, just outlining why we could use the funds, basically in a nutshell, because things were flushed into the lake for many, many years. To me, if the State Board of Accounts has not replied and said that this was incorrect usage, we would know about it. And also, this is just like an off-the-wall question, but if this money is in a non-reverting fund, doesn't non-reverting mean we can't use it for anything else or take it out? Is it legal to take money out of a non-reverting fund?
It's not illegal to take money out of a non-reverting fund. It can't be transferred.
I thought it was in the name.
It must be used for the purposes designated by the fund to which it is transferred, however.
So what does that mean?
What does that mean? The Special Revenue Non-Reverting Fund used for lake ecosystem restoration funding is proper use for the funds that are in that account. If those funds are moved to wastewater special fund, as is contemplated here, the purpose for those funds and the use changes to what the special wastewater fund provides for. That's where it came from, that's where it's going.
Anything else, Julie?
No, I mean, I just want to say that we need to really think about this. You know, I've mentioned Lowell, they have money now because they're going to a TIF. They voted 5-0 on a residential TIF. I know it's something, you know, we don't want to talk about, but I'm hoping, no matter what the vote is on this, that we can look into this and into ways to bring the schools in, as Lowell is doing, to make sure everyone benefits from it, because it's a tool that the state of Indiana is giving us. St. John's looking into a residential TIF. That doesn't mean the residents now are paying taxes. It's on new growth, so growth paying for growth. And, you know, I've been reading up on it ad nauseum, and I'm just hoping that that's something we can look into, and also...
They voted to pass the TIF down in Lowell, and they immediately got money, or they got money because they sold their water utility?
But I talked to Sue, and you can bond for that money because they know it's coming in. So you don't get it immediately, but you can bond for it because it's guaranteed for their new subdivision. So, you know, I just hope that we look at all revenue sources, look at the developers that are willing to put in water towers, that are willing to put in willing to drill for wells, and look into these other sources so it's not a big hit on the ratepayers, and so that growth actually does pay for growth. So I don't want this $2.1 million to be like the be-all and end-all. It's not going to pay for our half of the wastewater treatment plant. It's not. The $2.1 million is unfortunately a drop in the bucket, and we just recently got some numbers on how expensive that expansion will be.
It's for the West Side Sewer Interceptor, not the sewer treatment plant. We got two
Well,
of them.
I've heard people say that, where are we going to get the money for the water treatment plant? So I'm just hoping that we can look into things that we normally wouldn't have because we are in this situation.
I agree. Well, and, I mean, it's off topic, but the road impact fee is something we need to discuss. So,
Like the West Side Interceptor, that's almost $8 million, and I'm told we don't have those funds.
We don't.
And how are we gonna pay for that? And that, the expansion of the plant, that's in another category.
any other discussion?
Hold on just a second.
Go ahead, Chuck.
With the residential tips, you know, that thing about that, we have moratorium. Right now, there's no room for expansion. So we can't have a residential tip because you don't have sewer, we don't have capacity for water right now.
Well, I mean, I think Neil gave us some promising news, depending on how you look at it, but it should be taken on a case-by-case basis again.
But on the sewer part, where we're gonna come, I mean, right now, the west side intercept, you're saying, connect.
Is important.
We have to get that done first, and then the expansion.
It's definitely important.
Attorney Austin?
Julie, unfortunately, your comments are spot on about need to search for, identify, and utilize available funding sources. That's the whole problem this council faced with transition from last year to this year. You didn't have the information or documentation or resource identification for anything that was going on, much less these developments, these capital projects, etc. You're not in an envious position as a legislative and fiscal body. That's the initiative that you all need to take on. You're hearing that from your lawyer because I'm in the same boat you're in, hearing and seeing what happened in transition or didn't happen. It's hard to quantify how that happened, but it did. Apparently, it was okay with some people. It's not okay for the residents of our town. So the next thing, hopefully, that will occur here will be an identification of meeting dates and schedule opportunities so that fiscal items can be identified. They can be scheduled with committees or however else you decide to do the research and do the gathering, and it needs to happen sooner than later. There are developers still interested in our community, there are businesses still interested in our community, there are people who want to live here who are still interested in this community, but we need to really get on it.
Agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other discussion on resolution number 1351? If not, is there a motion on this item?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the transfer.
Okay.
2.1.
Yes.
Approve resolution number 1351?
Correct.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mr. Teal, seconded by Mr. Parker to approve resolution number 1351. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
No.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupido?
Yes, motion carries 6-1. Thank you. Old business, number 1, consideration to establish a Metropolitan Police Commission and a Metropolitan Fire Commission, and consider eliminating the current Board of
I pick up more of background noise than I do noise up front of me all the time, so that's why when there's distractions, like a side noise, like when I heard the guy as much as quiet as he was, I heard that more than just, that's the way.
The way your ears work?
Yeah, they're raising that all the time.
All right, old business, consideration to establish a Metropolitan Police Commission and a Metropolitan Fire Commission, and consider eliminating the current Board of Safety. This item was deferred on February 20th and March 5th, 2024.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Because we still haven't had an opportunity to discuss this in executive session, I would like to make a motion to defer it one more time.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Parker, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Dixon to defer this item until next meeting? Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
No.
Julie Rivera?
No.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Cupido?
Yes, motion carries 5-2. New business, consider fire department line item transfer request. Sarah, do you have anything for us on that?
I do.
Okay.
I called today, but I want to ask, this is a fire department transfer, correct? Could you explain, we're given numbers here, so where you're transferring from and transferring to, could you share that with us? We do not have that information, these
I don't
are
have it in
numbers.
front of me either, Mary Joan. For some reason, it wasn't put in the packet.
It is on the app.
It's on the app. I know which line item it's coming from, but I don't remember exactly what it was from because a month ago already almost. So, yeah, it's gonna going from, $399 to $394, which is under the materials and supplies. And I think it's for,
Training?
397.
yeah, I think it's for training.
So you have to transfer money into training? In
Yes.
March, we didn't have enough budgeted, or?
Yes, that's the reason. We didn't have enough budget.
No, Sue might be.
I'm sorry?
So
is this,
I just tell her saying she put this together and I can't remember off the top of my head what it was.
While we're on, Rich, while we're waiting, Ms. Hayes, if you have any information regarding this that you could help us with, please speak. Go ahead, Rich. Oh, she's speaking.
Probably doesn't.
Is she still there?
I do not have any of that, information. Jen will have to deal with that. I just knew that she said it was part of this agenda.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman?
You're welcome.
I'm sorry, Rich, go ahead.
So my question is, I see the two different ones, and one was being denied. What happens with that, and does it have to be resubmitted?
No, she told us it was we couldn't come out of that particular line item. That's why she denied that line item, and then she told us what the correct line item that could be in it.
So will that be in a future?
Directly with the administrative assistant.
Okay, will that be a future transfer then, or?
No.
Okay.
So this is what you're requesting?
The top
Yes.
one?
Yeah, the top one, yeah.
The 2,500?
Not the
Move
sec-
2,500, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, that's what,
Yep,
we need a
that's-
clarification.
I just wanted to make sure, yeah.
Do we have anything from Jennifer?
Unfortunately, I don't have
It's okay, or-
anything. She'll be back in the office
The
on
top
Friday.
item, he's only asking for the top item, so we're not going to...
She signed off on it, on the top, and then
Correct.
she approved it.
Right, so, but the denied one, we're leaving that...
I don't see.
Jennifer, yeah.
All right.
If she did not approve it, she would not have sent it to you, and it would have been denied.
And then just for the board, so they understand, I have asked if they could print, so that's what the problem is, we can't read the handwritings. So it's difficult to decide and just, decide who was this from, what it was about. You can understand you guys might know each other's signatures. I had no idea
I
what we were
apologize for
doing.
not knowing off the top of my head what it was for, but like I said, it's been over a month, and a couple of our line items are running short based upon, equipment and stuff like that. We always take care of it at the beginning of the year.
I appreciate the clarification.
That wasn't very clear, but I apologize.
Sure, only approved.
I don't got much.
She vetted it and sent it to you for approval.
Clear the mug.
Oh, yeah, I got it in front of me too, Doug. Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see it's been approved.
I didn't see that before.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
Well, I didn't know if we, like you said, it just said received by clerk treasurer, and then requested by, what was up on top, but
No,
I wanted to make sure it was okay with Jen
correct, it is.
before.
She signed off on it and
Okay.
sent it to you. That's how she does it.
It was, the one that was denied is the one I was questioning.
She denied it because we put it in a category.
And Chuck, to answer a question for you, truth be told, if it's denied by Jen, it's never getting on your agenda.
You're never gonna see it.
Okay. Is there a motion on this line item transfer request?
Mr. President, I'd like to approve the the fire department line item transfer request for the 2,500.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Teal, seconded by Mr. Parker to approve this fire department line item transfer request. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupero.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, and I'll send you an email tomorrow
Thanks, Chief.
clarifying what it's for. Exactly.
Request the use of park impact fees for Kiwanis Park playground amenities not to exceed $50,000. Ms. Ray, welcome to Tuesday night's action.
Hi there.
Good to see
Thank you.
Yeah.
Before you guys move forward on this, I just wanted to state that on my March 14th letter to you requesting use of funds, it actually is, it's $55,710 in total. And if you, it's in the meeting materials. So if you are looking to consider approving it, in total, it's $55,710.
Okay.
Not the agenda item of the 15.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification.
Was this for the material for the ADA?
Yeah, so the $50,000 of that would be going toward the pour-in-place surfaces to make us ADA compliant and accessible. And the $5,710 will be all accessible amenities, so a xylophone and a handicap swing
Thank you.
to go on site.
And this was given, I guess, approval by the Parks Board?
Yes,
Okay.
in our previous meeting. And then park impact fees come to you for consideration at that point. So this is just the formality of it all.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions for Ms. Ray or any other discussion? Is there a motion to use these park impact fees for this use?
I'll make a motion to, for the park impact fees of $55,710.
Thank you, Mr. Carnahan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Teal. We have a motion and a second to approve the use of park impact fees for Kiwanis Park playground amenities not to exceed $55,710. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupero.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Moving on to reports, town council reports. Our own Mr. Carnahan.
Okay, it's been so long tonight.
Oh, sorry.
It's early.
Read it. Lake County Solid Waste, will be having household hazardous waste at, the Lake County Fairgrounds, 889 Court Street in Crown Point, Saturday, Saturday, March 23rd from 8 to 2 p.m., and you're limited to 100 pounds to bring there.
They do have a list on their website, right, Bob, of acceptable and non-acceptable?
Yeah, you go to their website and that's all listed there, and it's just individuals, businesses cannot go there. And, then the business showcase is coming up, April 6th. It'll be held at the Field House from, 10 to 2 there, Joe?
Yes.
10 to 2, and it's open to the public, it's free, they're gonna have free gifts, they're gonna have raffles and stuff, and you can bring your cash register receipts in and fill out your name and address, drop them in, you have an opportunity to win stuff. Part of the problem in the past, we've had a hard time getting people to show up. And so we're trying to promote it a little bit more this year, and everybody's invited, even if you don't live here in Texas.
Thank you, Bob. Anything else for us?
Can't think of it right now.
Okay. Any other town council reports? Okay. Town attorney, Attorney Austin?
Lots going on, none I can report here.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Clerk treasurer report?
All the reports for the monthly reports were sent on Friday, and then any questions can be asked when Jen's back in the office on Friday.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Town manager, Mr. Bungie?
Yes, I guess the first thing I can do. Ladies and gentlemen, since we met last time, I have a new administrative assistant. Her name is Kristen Smith. This is her first meeting with us. I hope, I think everybody's better. Believe me, they're not this tumultuous.
Hey, Kirsten, you should feel blessed. I guess you were knocking down the door to work for Jeff. So.
The file was rather extensive.
Yeah.
You have one tank.
I guess what I think I'll do, and just kind of quickly, I'll cover my report and the Christopher Burke report, which is later in the agenda, at this time. NERC legislative NDOT DNR update. We have a couple of things coming up for the, hopefully the 24 budgeting year. It's the big one is raising of the road bed down 133rd Avenue from Robbins Nest to Kopak. And the Founders Creek multi-use path is projected to be programmed for design in 2026. And that's, there's a good portion of that that's federal money, and then it's a smaller amount, 25% or so, local match. Senate Bill 159 for annexation will repeal the law that allows municipalities to initiate annexation. Only voluntary and super voluntary annexations would be allowed starting after March 1st, 2024. So that is now in the hands of the local government. Community crossing grant. I think it was brought up at our last meeting. We have seal coating and crack sealing that will be going on throughout the summer this year. That pre-construction meeting will be scheduled probably within the next 45 days.
And if anybody's interested, they can go to our minutes that we approved. Jen listed all those roads that will be crack sealed.
2023 CDBG block grant fund money. There'll be construction or reconstruction in Lynn's Way for the ADA ramping. Pre-con meeting is scheduled on the 20th, which is coming up soon, tomorrow. There's a number of smaller road projects, streets and roadway items, shades on the east side of town here, just down 141st, east of Morris. There's 4 or 5 streets, 6 streets chosen for the whole project. I think at least 3 of them are on the schedule to be paved and improved this at-grade sidewalks crossing for the railroad. We have had some conversation, or I did send in the new information on the roadway with or the intersections with Norfolk Southern, and it is waiting to be processed and approved. And that's kind of it, pretty quick.
I guess we should share one more thing, Jeff. I know it's not in the report because this happened very recently, but we had instructed Don Oliphant to contact the state of Indiana about pursuing or moving forward with the intersection improvements at 141st and US 41. And the public ought to know about that, they're looking at putting a stoplight in over there to help some of that traffic flow onto 41.
Where?
141st and 41. Don did a report and determined that was, I guess this was something that was in the works last year,
Did
but.
the state approve it?
I think this is going to be a state project.
Yeah.
Well, it'd have to be because of the road, but did they approve it though? Because we've done it for 129th Avenue a couple of times and they keep denying it.
They didn't approve it yet, but he did an analysis, Don did, and deemed that was necessary, and it would supposedly be a project that's fully funded by the state.
And I would like them to do 129th and 41, because when Dave Colson was here, he was even working on it.
We tried it, they denied it.
They said it wasn't
serious
necessary.
violations or crashes.
Maybe there is at 141st and 41 now, I don't know, you guys would know that.
The location that we have the most problems is actually just out of town at 151st and 41.
Yeah.
And the state of Indiana is supposed to start a project that they determined, instead of putting a light there, they would put I'm gonna call it a Florida turnaround. I don't know what the official name of it is called.
Michigan J, I believe.
What's it called?
The Michigan J, I believe they were calling it.
Similar to
Morocco.
The term that they have in the,
Whatever the acronym is
Yeah.
for, yeah. I believe that's what they suggested when they did the study on it because of the fatal crashes and the serious bodily injury, but I don't even know if that's been pushed through yet or not.
That would be similar to the one in Morocco, I believe.
When you drive down to turn back?
Correct.
Yeah.
2026?
2026, I believe we'll start the project in 151st and Lincoln.
There you go.
Very good.
My commander knows.
Thank you.
He's on top of it.
All right.
Way to go, Commander.
Thank you, Jeff. Anything else, Dan? Are you good?
I just have one more thing for the folks that work here, for the utility board meeting. And if you were here, my apologies for hearing again, but, we did commence with a, airburst, procedure at the public water utility over at Robin's Nest. It's basically where they go down and monitor and, basically, power wash, air, into the wells to open up the aquifers. And, we had one well that increased from 200 gallons per minute capacity to over 300 gallons per minute capacity, and then we had the other that went from 200 to well over 500. So and that's supposed to be good for 25 to 30 years per well. So yeah, it's pretty, and it wasn't a real big commitment of cash.
Thank you, Jeff. Director of Operations is absent. Police Department, Chief Fisher.
I think he took the right time to take a vacation, didn't he? In your report, you see that we had 1,072 calls for the month, 559 traffic stops, 542 warnings, 167 citations were issued. We had 32 arrests with 57 charges for the month. We issued 46 ordinance warnings and 54 citations for the month, for a total of 64 warnings and 85 tickets for the year so far. Other than that, I don't have much else except Ms. Parker, that's in the audience, approached us last month, kind of starting the conversation about a program to help those in our community that have cognitive disabilities. So she emailed both Chief Todd and I with some ideas. I've reached out to Avon Police Department. I actually got a phone call back from their deputy chief that started a program out there called Aware. I don't know what the cost is going to be yet, but we'll figure out a funding source. But ultimately what it's going to do is allow us to hand out, whether it's stickers or some kind of identification, so that when police or first responders, EMS or fire arrive at a residence, we'll be able to see the sticker and know that someone within the residence has some kind of cognitive disability or medical issue. And this comes along with our training that we're doing with the police department on a continuous basis with de-escalation and aware of dementia and things of those natures that we're actually working on right now. And so I wanted to at least let you know that this is going on. My hope would be that Chief and I could have something probably together in the next month to see. I'm going to find out what the cost was of this program and see if there's any others that might be even better for us. But she proposed it, and I thought it was a fantastic idea. So,
thanks, Cheryl.
Having a grandchild that has the similar disabilities, it was deep in my heart. So,
good work.
We'll be bringing that forward in the next, hopefully, month.
Can I just add to
We
that?
do have one funding source already.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
Just to add to that, it's not just for residences, it's also after viewing the videos that I saw with the Avon program, it's also for cars, which people don't even think about. If first responders are going to a car that is disabled or crashed, whatever, you don't know that there's someone in there that can't speak or isn't able to know what to do. So it kind of covers both areas.
Very good.
Great idea.
For that.
Thank you.
Bill, I have a question to ask you. Are we changing the color of our units for our police department to black?
Oh, no.
No, so we just ordered black cars for this
No.
next order? No?
We ordered one white one, we ordered one black one, and two for administration.
Okay.
The unfortunate part is this year was the year that several unmarked cars were due to be recycled.
Okay, thank you. And then the lights, because, you know, that's,
Yep.
okay, I just want to make sure they have
All
lights.
taken care of.
All right, thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you, Chief Fisher.
Not that they
My
did-
goal is my goal is to have all of my sergeants who are running each crew to be in black squad cars. But after that, patrol cars will still stay white. We haven't decided to ever change the striping in forever. And then two administration cars are being changed. One specifically because I added a detective on, so I need to get him in an unmarked car as well. So he's still driving a fully marked car.
And I want to know, it's not that they didn't have lights, they were lights that
No,
were
better,
more appropriate.
better,
Yes,
yes.
thank you.
Better ones.
Are you getting anything?
No. No.
Chief Wilkins.
I have about 15 or 20 things, so let's keep
3 minutes, please.
You got me, all right. As you can see, our calls have gone up. We've had 352 calls so far this year. That's about up 20%. Kind of a couple flip notes. Structure fires, car crashes seem to be on the rise. Just this last weekend, we went on 3 car crashes that needed extrication and ended up flying out a patient to Chicago for their injuries. We also assisted on another bad car crash on US 41 to where it was a head-on collision as well. Our extrication tools are getting a lot of use, which I never like to use. We had 2 legitimate saves this week, to include, we almost delivered a baby. The baby was in the backseat of the car, just delivered, so we got to deliver the rest of the baby to a patient that delivered an 8-pound baby right there with us. We took care of them both. It's kind of always a fun thing to talk about and has happened. I don't like going to see that, but the medics take care of that. I've seen it a few times. It's not, you know.
Did they get the pen?
Not yet. They get a pen, yeah. Yeah, for a partial.
They get a pen
Partial.
for delivering a baby.
I didn't actually deliver it, so they're gonna have to work hard next time getting it.
You can be part of a pen.
We did, finish and complete our air track grant for, and it's been turned in for over, close to $383,000, something like that. We also just did a survey of our station, the current station. The lights have been terrible in the big truck bays for quite a long time. We were kind of hoping that, we would be able to do some renovation work to that station, but we can't wait any longer. We got a price to change out all the lights and the ceiling fans. It was like almost $7,000. We got the NIPSCO initiative, and the place in Lowell that does the lighting for NIPSCO is gonna do it for $940. Everything installed. So, that's quite a savings that, through NIPSCO's initiative, so, and they're all LEDs, by the way. And we're also working on 6 other grants for smaller amounts for small projects, that we're about to, try to figure out some of the needs of some of our apparatus, some of the equipment on the apparatus. We're talking $5,000 and $6,000 grants, and we're looking at maybe 5 or 6 of them to write. So we're putting a list together of some needs right now. We're looking at replacing some hose, some nozzles, and some other appliances.
What was going on with the ladder truck today?
Ladder truck was being ladder tested by Underwriter Laboratories.
so there wasn't no problem with it?
No, I figured it'd be on Facebook, ladder truck broke, and it's gonna cost $1 million, no.
Okay, I got concerned when I drove by.
I know, and I did send Nick a text, letting him know, I was hoping he would share it tonight, and maybe accept it. But yeah, it passed the first part of the test, they'll be back tomorrow to do the pump. And that's an annual test that's done every year. Unfortunately, when they break it, they don't help us pay for it. I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief Wilkening.
You were talking to me?
Parks Department, Ms. Ray?
I'm gonna keep it a lot shorter than that.
It was 5 minutes, 52 seconds.
The Parks Department actually has a newsletter that sits on our website digitally. I want to start having some traffic head that way. You're going to see all the things that we're doing and planning. We also have a park board meeting once monthly as well, where I give a more detailed report. But today, all I want to say is we have that Easter egg hunt happening here on town grounds on this Saturday, March 23rd, at 12 p.m. sharp. Kids 12 and under are free to attend. We had a lot of community support. This was the first season the Parks Department has fully taken over the event, and we have lots of donated baskets and prizes that has come through from the community, and we love the fact that we have the support wrapped around a community event. So show up, probably put some mud boots on, and dress warm, but that's what Easter's all about. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ms. Ray. Ashley Abernathy, Ms. Abernathy, do you have anything for us, or?
Last month for February, we had 40 secondary permits and 14 new construction permits. Other than that, we're continuing our usual duties in the building and planning department of processing all applications as they come in.
Okay.
So that was 19 for January, February. The January, 4 of them were residential and 1 was an industrial construction permit.
So in January, there was 5 new construction permits, one commercial industrial that was in the Lakeview Business Park. The rest of them were new construction permits. For February, it was all new homes, and it was only 14.
Total of 19.
For a total of 19 for the business park, yes.
Thank you, Ms. Abernathy.
Mr. President, if I may, it's for unsafe building. As chairman on that, yesterday I met with Attorney Austin, Attorney Dittmeyer, Ms. Abernathy, and Tony Gatto as far as the updating the very outdated unsafe building ordinance. So hopefully within the near future we should have something presented to you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Teal. Appreciate it. Moving on to written communication, Ms. Abernathy just gave us the building department report. Mr. Bungie, you had given us Christopher B. Burke report. Do we have any other written communication? Nope. No? Okay. Updates, discussion, we have VS Engineering sidewalk project. Thanks for sticking around, Tim.
Yes, thank you. Good morning.
You haven't been around this town long enough, this is early.
Yeah. They're the last one. Yeah. So, before you is an email that I sent Mr. Buggy about an update where we're at with things. So the new critical path on this is the environmental. Looking at the timeline, it's going to be 8 months before we can get that approved, which will then be a cursor for the right-of-way to get moving. Regardless of the path forward, whether we move with the full project part of it or minimize it and shrink it, this is a critical path forward. In order to keep moving forward, we would need to start the red flag investigation, which is partially in our current contract. We would be able to move some of the current funding around to be able to keep moving with that and get it submitted to INDOT. Their review time is extremely long, so the sooner we can get it in front of them, the sooner we can keep this moving forward, while the decision on how we want to move forward with the entire project can be decided.
This is it an 80-20 or 90-10?
So currently, there is $110,000 available to get reimbursed under 90-10 for the PE. That has not been reimbursed yet because it just hadn't been sought out, it had expired, and now it's been reappropriated. But once it is utilized, if the project is to stop, it would have to be reimbursed.
And
So
that's because a report was not turned in October, and now Jennifer Sandberg, our treasurer, has been trained, and then you're going to work on getting trained as a backup.
Correct.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we missed at least 2 or 3 invoices or,
6 months worth is what, then NDOT will close it. And so because there had not been anything spent against it, they closed it. NERC was able to find additional funds to reallocate to it, so it is there to get reimbursed against if the town continues to pursue with the project. But the longer we wait to move forward with it, the harder it will be to achieve the fiscal year that the $4 million is allocated in.
What's our deadline? What's our because we're still vetting this, going through this, but what's our deadline for that then?
So, moving forward with the environmental is the critical path, and that's roughly 5,000 to get that submitted to NDOT. Once that is in process, we have a couple months then that we can look at different alternatives, whether that be shrinking it or phasing it. I would say around summertime, we would want to get closer to an idea so that we can get under the next phase of our contract underway, so that we can continue right away and be ready to move once NDOT's approved the red flag.
So you need approval from this, or we need approval from this board by sometime during the summer? to move
Yes.
forward? Okay.
On how to move forward with the contract. Right now, VS is seeking authorization to move forward with the red flag. We were given a stop work order while the town decided on how to move forward with the rest of the project, but looking at the time frame, VS is recommending to push forward a little bit further while we consider all avenues of the project.
Because we've already spent, what, $110,000?
Correct.
And we're trying to get that money back now, and if we don't proceed with the project, we won't be able to get that money.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions for Tim or discussion?
Well, when do you need, start with the red flag? Or
The
when do you need
sooner
to
the
know
better.
that? I mean,
So right now, it's a 11-month timeline for the environmental to get approved from being told, go ahead. From there, we are looking at another 9 to 12 months of right-of-way, which will put us in a very tight timeline to hit the construction funding. So any delays makes it a riskier and riskier project.
so we need to know probably by next month?
Yes, that would be sufficient, or sooner.
I think he's asking for you to vote for it tonight.
If we can transfer $5,000 from your budget, we'll do it.
Or this morning, whichever way you want.
No, it's understandable.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the presentation, Tim.
Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Don't forget your phone.
We'll move on to public comment for town council here.
Hi.
What happened to you?
Oh, I had a yesterday done. I'm fine, thank you. Angie Michaelchuk, 12806 Leesport. I was seeking clarification, and I'm sorry I can't recall if it was this past town council meeting or not, but there was mention of some digital information that you guys have that is redacted. Was that in this? It was like phone numbers and
I think
signatures.
Mr. Parker had mentioned about some of the stuff in the packet being redacted, right?
Yes, okay, and then Chief Fisher had commented on why is that done? Could you remind me?
It was the people, the signatures were blacked out.
Oh, I wasn't sure why they redacted them.
It's to protect signatures and private individuals' contact information. Or if it's letters of credit, it's to prevent that letter of credit number from being posted, because realistically, that's like a bank note. We don't put our own banking information out there. Why do we want to have our letters of credit, because, especially with the fraudulent checking that happens nowadays.
Okay.
So it's for protection of signatures and banking information.
Makes sense, just the first time I ever saw it.
Okay, so my question is, are citizens afforded the same opportunity for that protection?
Regarding,
for what?
Regarding written communications that are digital online, where like our phone numbers and our signatures are just there.
If it's anything that we're uploading packet-wise or like when I'm uploading stuff for public hearings, we make every effort to redact private contact information, signatures, information like that.
Okay, my request is that I have submitted written communications online that digitally currently, my personal phone number, my husband's personal phone number, our addresses and our signatures are still present, and I would ask for them to be redacted just as everyone else's are, please.
Okay. Can you maybe speak in private with Ashley maybe after the meeting, director, where this information's at? And
Oh, it's just one letter, I can tell you right now.
okay, I didn't know if you wanted to
Oh,
speak about it.
I have an idea, and I'll take a look into it tomorrow.
Okay, I didn't want to encroach on any privacy things, so.
Oh, okay,
you're
no,
welcome
I
to
just
speak.
wanted to make sure that, that we're all afforded that same opportunity, because I surely don't want somebody calling me during the middle of the night for
Okay.
harassment.
I get it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Hi,
Barbara
Barb.
Worsey, 10290 West 138th Place. Not quite prepared to speak about this because I didn't know that residential tips were going to be mentioned, but since they are, I'm going to throw my comments into the ring, as it were. And overall, I'm going to say I'm very skeptical of using residential tips to try to solve financial issues, which obviously we have projects we need to take care of, and they cost a lot of money. So in order for residential tips to work, it would appear that bonds would have to be issued before residences could be built, because we don't have the capacity. So, hang on. And so we wouldn't get money from the increased assessed valuation of the new residences for a few years, and the bonds would have to be paid off first. So, the other thing, or the reason that is, well, the bonds have to be repaid before the TIF money is available to use for other things, which include in the cost of paying for increased services for police and fire, which can't be accessed until the bonds are paid for, and also for the schools. So only a small percentage of the increased valuation, the tax money that's gathered with the increased valuation, can be used for schools. So you're going to be building more homes, which of course a lot of people don't really want in this town, and we have plenty to go in the first place. But we're going to have more homes, we're going to have more students in the schools, we're going to have bigger area for police, for fire, more services the town's going to have to provide. And we're going to take what could conceivably be a pretty big pot of money and put it on the side. And I have a lot of questions about who actually makes the decisions about where that money's going to go. Are residents going to be allowed, if this would happen, are residents going to be allowed to approve them or not with a referendum? My impression of TIFs is that it's an idea that sounds really good, and things that are too good to be true, they sound too good to be true, they probably are. I'm very skeptical of it, and if you even think about going down that road, please take a lot of time to explore what it really means. I watched the Lowell Town meeting, and I looked at their presentation, and there were a lot of questions I had. I think that the people that did speak at the Lowell Town meeting were summarily ignored, and their questions were not addressed and were not answered. And I'm just very skeptical about the whole thing. So please be careful and think about going down that road. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sue, can you chime in? I know I've asked you about, the residential tips. Do you believe bonds have to be paid before we collect the tip?
The bonds have to be paid before you can use the TIF funds for other stuff.
Well, on the residential tip, my understanding is, it's debt, period. Anything that you issue, and you issue with the source of payment as being your residential tip, you're not going to be able to do bonds immediately because you will not have any revenues rolling off from that residential tip. You have to wait for your residential revenues. The item that appears to be most interesting to most communities on residential tip is we can use that money, some of that TIF proceeds, to fund our police and fire in wages. Remember, most on the TIF districts, we can't use it for wages. We have to use it for infrastructure. On the residential, that's different. And also keep in mind that my understanding is, and this is new, so we really, I agree totally that we really need to look everywhere to make sure this makes sense. But we can decide to give bigger portions to the school if that is what you want to, because of the burden that it comes up.
And we only have 4 years to do this.
Well, yeah, what it is now is you've got a window of opportunity on the going forward with it, with the, how do I say, the more lenient rules on it, because basically it's a test right now, Bob, by the state to see if anybody abuses it. But that's what, they give you a window of opportunity, and that's it, so. But a presentation does need to be made, and we really need to understand, all of the ins and outs on it, if that's the way we want to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
Any other public comment?
Carl Sprague, 7326 West County, 43rd Avenue. Julie, I wanted to apologize when I said that the transfer was illegal. I misspoke. It was unauthorized under Indiana code. That's all I meant, all right? And Bob, or Bill, on the stop sign you're putting in over here, can that be a flashing solar light?
Stop sign?
Yeah.
No.
Why not? On the side, because...
Because I don't think the flash, first off, it's a residential area, so I don't think the flashing light will be allowed.
Not an overhead, I mean a flashing stop sign.
I don't know.
Because
I'd have to
I've
see
seen
what
them.
the cost is.
I know.
We will do it at the beginning, we'll put plenty of notification of the new stop sign before we go out there and start hammering out traffic stops, but...
Well, I was wondering for the same thing, Carl, because I've seen traffic, signs and stuff like that, especially stop signs in new areas that do flash.
Right.
I don't know if it's a permanent flash or what, because...
I think it's usually because it's brand new.
Well, because of the fact of people running them, not knowing that they were out of habit, so I don't know if there's something we need to look into.
We'd have to look at the cost of it first, because I don't know that we have it.
Yeah, it draws attention, right away, especially in darker areas, right? And, some of them, Bill, are solar powered.
Okay.
So basically just solar power with LED lights.
Whether it's something that can be taken off and used later if we put a stop sign somewhere else.
I believe we used them at 137th Avenue when we put a stop sign there, because I've been here long enough to remember when it didn't have a stop sign, so But I don't know if it's something that we still have in the street department. I'll have to see, and then we'll have to look at the funding and see how much it'll cost.
You know, it brings attention to it, and, you know.
At least for the first couple of months.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Hey, pretty good, how are you?
I'm Ben Bravo. I live at 12841 Fairbanks Street. That's probably directed toward you guys. Fairbanks,
Directed towards me?
yeah.
Okay.
You guys do the best you can as far as you guys come out, but people are racing up and down Fairbanks, and I live on Fairbanks.
Okay.
With kids and all that. And then you guys put the thing that says how fast they're going. They really don't care. They can see how fast they're going, you know? I don't know what else to do. When it gets to summer, I mean, it's even worse. And everyone uses it to go through from Crown Point into Cedar Lake. You know, they're coming from back where the ranches and cattle and all that shit. And I just don't know what you guys can do to stop it. It's just...
We'll just have to stop our cars.
You guys are out there, you guys just sometimes come out when we were complaining before, and, you know, we talk to the police when they come driving by and all that stuff, but it's something else that's gotta be done, either stop sign in the middle, or speed bumps, or...
Yeah, we're not putting any speed bumps in. That would be bad for traffic, but, I mean, we could look at, the problem is, I don't know how we could put additional stop signs in that area simply because of the locations, because you don't have crossing roads, you know what I'm saying? So we can look at it though.
I don't, or try to put more patrols out there.
And they do.
And don't give warnings, start giving tickets, and there's still stop.
They do sit up by MacArthur's. They're up there, and I hear sometimes at night they're just flying down there.
Oh, yeah, and then they're peeling out at the stop sign.
And they're leaving tire marks in the road.
You have to understand, we can't be everywhere all
I know
the
that,
time, you know what I mean?
but it's not my job to fix it, you guys. And it's just dangerous with the kids, you know?
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for waiting.
Anyone else for public comment? You get the last one, Brenda, it looks like.
Brenda Roberts, 15008 Morris Street. Good evening.
Good evening.
And I'm going to leave you on a happy note. No bad language and reproaches and screaming. Thank you all that we have a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit down to 153rd. Thank you. Yeah. It was really necessary. We've had so many dead animals, and besides, it's crazy what goes on there. I just want to thank you. We now have to enforce it.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is quite difficult, but, yeah, they'll learn.
It's not difficult, it's just need more personnel.
It brings in money.
Right. I don't know if you pay attention, they're doing a lot of work here, so they're trying to fix a lot of things, so
Some are watching.
we're doing the best we can.
Some are watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. It makes such a difference. The whole wildlife area there and our eagle's nest and everything. And the poor deer, that get killed there all the time. There is a deer crossing, of course, many of them. And, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, last call, public comment, last call. Sarah, do you have anything online?
No.
Okay. I appreciate everybody being in attendance tonight. Next meeting is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. This meeting is adjourned at 9:31.